All right, it's me, your host, David Wilcock. This is David Wilcock Live on YouTube, and thank you for coming today. And I want to be all excited about Easter because I'll tell you what, this is Palm Sunday, the week before Easter, and this is the celebration of Ascension. We have an Ascension holiday in our calendar, and this is it. So I've got, if you bet on the maroon shirt today, then you are right. This is in honor of the shedding of the blood of Christ, the celebration of the Easter holiday as it's coming up. We got 1 week to go on that, but why not get started early? So that's what we're doing this week. And we already have donations coming in. PLEPA Orgone products. Let's bring Christ consciousness to all of our lives. Amen to that. Thank you guys for being here today. We are going to focus specifically on becoming the light and getting really good things to happen. I'm really excited about a lot of stuff today. I'm happy to be here with you. We are going to be talking about extraterrestrials. We're going to be talking about the Book of Enoch. We're going to be talking about angelic beings and demonic beings. And we're going to talk about how disclosure is coming to a head, some of the missing whistleblowers that are going on right now, and many other things, including photonic DNA, and what's the status with our war situation? How is that going? Lots of good stuff. So hope that you are going to stick around. We're good. The volume is fine. Everybody says everything looks good. We got 631 viewers already right out of the gate. That's pretty darn good. I'm sorry I announced this at the last minute. I had a really rough week again, and I wasn't sure if I was going to do a show. But my friend convinced me, dude, you got to do it. And yeah, so that's what we're doing. And it's pretty positive. It's interesting that a lot of people are now having a particular Chinese character show up after their name. I'm not sure what that's about, but my Red Birdsong Princess says it's nerd time. Amen to that. It is definitely nerd time. Your video and voice is great. Creative Nature Girl says, I can't wait for more extraterrestrial content. All right, well, you guys know I deliver the goods. This is no different. And so again, just to get started, I want to thank you so much for being here with me today and wish you a happy Palm Sunday. This is the time of the year where we celebrate the Ascension. And that is the idea of Christ's crucifixion, which is on Good Friday. Kind of strange that it would be called good when you consider how horrific the event is. But then all of a sudden he resurrects on Sunday, and that becomes Easter Sunday, having something to do with the east. The sun rises in the east, sets in the west. Vacapalo just donated, says, hello, handsome, right on time today. Thank you very much. Sure do deliver the goods. All right, we're up to 828 viewers. We're doing really well. 949 now. Wow, it's really climbing up quickly. So anyway, thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for the Super Chat donations. Glad that they are still working. I lost an old AdSense account. I got an email about that, and I was like, uh-oh, does that mean that we're not going to be able to accept payments? But it looks like we are. So yes, hit the like button, smash the like button. Let's see how many likes we have so far. We're already up to 353, but considering we've got over 1,000 viewers now, it says 1,026. We can definitely get that number higher. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being here with me today. I'm so happy that you are choosing to spend your time with me. Let's make the best of it. So Easter is a really fun time of the year in terms of what the spiritual implications are. This concept of a perfect Savior, a perfect man who came here to the earth to help us out and to bring about a new era for all of humanity. We got Monique, she donated, thank you very much. Little Tiny Joe, Palm Sunday blessings to you and us all. Namaste, thank you very, very much. Roger Zubarik, one of our long-term favorites. I'm looking forward to this show, and we all thank you. Thank you very much, Roger. David, since it's Palm Sunday, can you teach us how it ties into the Law of One, Book of Enoch? Of course, our Lord and Savior Jesus, looking forward to how you connect the dots every week. Yes, that's what we're going to be doing. So The Book of Enoch will be coming up later, and that's a very interesting discussion because it appears in some reckonings think that this book is as old as the book of Genesis, that it goes all that way back. And again, it appears to be a revealed teaching. Now, the author that I was reading from in 1917 believed that it was coming out around 200 to 100 BC, that it was a contemporary author living in some, they think they've figured out who it is, but I'm OCD. Why is David sitting so far to the right of the screen? Well, that's just the way that I've set up these camera angles in order to be able to go around. If you like me being in the middle, we can go to this one for a little while. But anyway, there's lots of different angles we can choose from. We got this one over here. If you want to see me in the middle again, you got this one over here. That's one of the fun things that I did, was to work with my various video programming software and hardware and come up with a way where we can get lots of different camera angles for you to enjoy. So it's just a question of which one do I want to do. So yes, it's really cool, and I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you for the Super Chat donations. And let's try to make this a good Christmas, good Easter for me and for all involved. So thank you guys in advance for all your help on that. Katrina Hobbs says, thank you for all you've done over the years. So appreciated by all. Oh yeah, 7-minute coronal mass ejection this Easter, feeling more biblical than ever, says Kat Carroll. Yeah, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? We got a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of interesting changes in the world. When the sun flares up, there's major upheavals, and of course we have this war going on. And so I want to be clear that, you know, it is a frightening time in some ways, but at the same time, this is Easter, so we're not going to focus on the negative this week. We're not going to go through a bunch of blow-by-blows on what's happening with the war, where's it going, or what does it ultimately mean. We're going to focus on things like the teachings of Christ and the Ascension. And so when you look at various other sources that we have consulted with, like the Edgar Cayce readings and so forth, the concept of Easter starts to expand. The concept of Ascension, we double-click on that, we get a lot deeper on that than we ever have before, and it starts to become a lot more meaningful, because this isn't just, according to the Cayce readings at least, this isn't just the path of one individual, this is the path of all souls. We're all going to experience Ascension at some point or another. And yes, I do believe that Jesus is the Logos. That's one of the things that my esoteric sources talk about, that the galactic mind compressed itself into a human body. That doesn't usually happen. It was pretty insane that it did. But it's a very big blessing for us that we had a Savior figure come here and redefine what it means for us to be human, that we see that we can become the light. We can become something greater than we ever thought. So that's the title of this. The title of this show is about, you know, becoming. We're getting into alignment with the Easter spirit. That's what we wanted to do here. So that's where we're going today with this. And this is the time of the year again where we're celebrating Ascension. The Christ consciousness, Jesus the man who becomes Christed, that is the blueprint that we all follow. According to the Cayce readings, we are not just here to exist in some materialistic universe. Oh, we got another donation. That's B. Gabrillo. Bless to you and all. Thank you, David. You look extra handsome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Really do appreciate that. Alexandria donated. God bless always and happy Easter. Well, I do really appreciate all you guys, and I'm glad that the donation system still works. We really do need that help. And I want to thank you in advance for all of you who have not yet donated. If you can do that for us, it's really wonderful, and we really appreciate it. So anyway, yeah, life is good. I'm in a good space today. I feel happy, and I want to talk to you about how you can achieve these activations within yourself, because Jesus taught us about forgiveness. Jesus taught us about compassion. Jesus taught us about patience. There we go. There's a cool one. This is coming from our friend Zoran's mom, who is also Mary. We know her name from the Twitter page. Wow. So Mary, thank you very much. Thank you for the show today. Much love. She donated $100. We need more of those, but that's the first one. Oh, here's Dr. Phil, and he donated $50. Thank you very much, Dr. Phil XR. Bledsoe was talking about Regulus and the eye of the Sphinx around Easter as an event. There's a second Sphinx detected. Focus on the good. Absolutely. And Sarah Maita donated as well. Now it's starting to rack up a little bit. There's 3 on the board all at once. All right. Thank you guys very much, guys and girls. Easter is what we're talking about right now. And yes, it's a time to feel those blessings inside yourself. Feel the presence of this infinite love that is around us, that makes the universe what it is. Because the more that you can tap into that reality, the more that you can redefine yourself in that loving consciousness, the farther you've gone in your evolutionary path. Jesus, of course, the Logos discussion, I believe that there is a God the Father, which we could think of as a universal oneness. What does that mean exactly? That means the whole universe, ultimately, I believe, exists as an awareness, as an I am, as an infinite consciousness. So this source of revealed teachings in modern times, the Law of One, which I revere very much and have for a long time, the Law of One series teaches us that this is something that we all get to share in each other's, we get to share with each other how this works. Vacapalo, Serena Bella are here as moderators. That's good. Never mind, he's asking for money again. I'm sorry that I have to do that. I won't do that too much. Sorry, got a little bit of a trolling thing happening there, but you know, I can handle it. I'm a big boy. But no, look, we're not focused on the donations. We're focused on the message, and the messages of love, the messages of peace, the messages of forgiveness, the messages of Christ. And so thank you guys all for being here for so long and for hanging out with me, because Christ is the blueprint that we're all here to follow. And so that means that ascension is something that we're all going to be doing. We're all moving through an ascension process. We're all doing this together. And yes, ascension involves crucifixion, doesn't it? So we have the Father God, we have the Father Mother God is really the best way to say it. If you go back to the original Aramaic, it's Father Mother God. See, Chris Famuz donated, thank you. We also had CJ Shannon. Hi, David, sending you light and love. So good to see you. God bless. All right, you guys. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm grateful to be here today. The Father, Mother, God is the awareness of the universe, the intelligent infinity of the cosmos that surrounds and upholds us and makes us into who we are. And then that universal awareness also steps down into a galactic consciousness, which is the Logos. And the Logos can also paradoxically mean the universal mind as well, but it refers to the galactic mind. So in the Law of One system, we finally get an understanding of what's at the beginning of the book of John. In the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. So what does that really mean? That means that the term word means logos. And so the Law of One, by using the word logos, gives us this clue to what that passage in the book of John really means. It actually means, you know, there's Johnny 2B. Forget the trolls. Remember, everybody has to be paid for the work they do. David, you are working in this very moment in time. Thank you very much, Johnny. That is true. And I appreciate being, you know, supported by you guys. It really does help a lot. It's kept me through everything. And there he is, RW Phoenix, the $333 donation, game-changing, life-saving move. Thank you very much. As always, may peace, love, and light be unto you and us all. Namaste. The trolls were why I made the Sofa King remark last week. I don't remember the Sofa King remark. But anyway, Gary Hyder says, David, you are a great anchor of peace and light. Prince Royal says, David, what do you make of other Jesus-like beings like Horus, Mithras, Krishna, Dionysus? There's too many connections that should be acknowledged. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very important part of understanding what the Logos is. Jesus embodied in what the Law of One would call personality transparency, the mind of our galaxy. So you have God the Father. In the beginning, there was the Word, the Logos. and the Word was with God, that would be the galaxy. So the galaxy is a step down from the universal consciousness, each galaxy being its own creator, which makes Jesus very interesting because this is the galactic mind embodying into a human. Now, all of us to varying degrees hopefully will be able to do that. That's the goal of what we're really here to attain on Earth, is to achieve this personality transparency where we are now more unified with the Creator, with the consciousness of the universe than we ever have been before. And so the UFO subject is very intriguing on this because when we look at the Bible, we look at how it seems like we're alone in the universe. It seems like nobody's here to take care of us. Nobody's helping us. Actually, it turns out that we're not alone and they've never left. They've been around here the whole time. And angelic beings are still interacting with us. They're still in our skies and they're very much a part of our lives. So once we understand that, we've moved beyond where we thought we were. We're going into a whole new reality where we understand a level of consciousness that exists in our reality that is embodied in a certain type of body. But again, these would actually be the equivalent of higher dimensional beings. They're not in our reality so much as they're transdimensional, but they still exist here. And how exciting it is that we're on the brink of actually getting disclosure, that they're actually going to tell us at least some of the truth. We hope that that will happen. And we've got reason to hope now. We've got some very, very strong things on the horizon. Vakapalo, thank you for the donation. I think the word spirit, the one that moves over the waters in the book of Genesis, has a female root, doesn't it? Same as suitable help for men. Well, spirit, I know that it means spire, inspire, to breathe. It has to do with the breath, the pneuma, the breath of the compassionate, the breath of the divine. Pretty cool. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for donating. I really appreciate it. We're doing pretty good here. We're already crawling our way up towards the first $1,000 in donations, and we need that very much. I have to be able to keep on going. So yeah, people don't like it, but I appreciate it. A couple people don't like it, but it really does help us out. So we also have a website you can donate at as well, if that would be preferable to you. And somebody can drop that link in, as they always do. We fix that link for you so we know that it works. Anyway, back to the show. So it's been a while since I've been able to catch one of your lives. I hope you're doing well. Thank you, Donna. Appreciate that. Yeah, I feel good. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that we're together today. And I want to do the best show for you that I can. So we're really going to double click on this principle of the angelic visitations and how they want us to become the light. That's the principle of Easter, and it's a principle that really takes us a long way. Thank you, Vakapalo, for dropping that link. So yeah, we're doing really well, and let's remember that when we see Jesus move into the Christed form, he becomes different. And we'll talk about this again next week, but they did not recognize him after they rolled the stone away. His face was different, his body was different. He had to show them the holes in his hands in order to have them be convinced that it was really still him, because that's how different the form that he became actually was. It didn't even have the same physical appearance anymore. And that really shows a multidimensional transformation. Now you think about this, Jesus had already demonstrated the resurrection of Lazarus. Lazarus was a trick that he'd already done. He'd already raised someone from the dead. But what's interesting about the way that he came back was that he actually looked different and had to do this proof of concept with his hands in order to get people to understand that it was really him. And then after he comes back in this Christed form, this is where we now have him be the embodiment of the galactic mind. It didn't start out that way. So he prepared himself for it. He grew up through this. The Casey readings say that the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ, which was a channeled work, is actually significantly accurate. NKIM74 donated. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate that. Yeah, so he embodied into a form that started out as human, but probably very enhanced from the beginning, because again, it's an immaculate conception. Mary's womb was seeded by whatever that light was that the three wise men were watching, guided. Maybe that wasn't it, but we know there was the Archangel Gabriel, the Annunciation. I'm going to show you a couple of those images again today. So we know there was a divine conception. There was an immaculate conception, and that's how this started. And so, in modern times, we can think, well, yeah, maybe that was some type of genetic procedure or something that happened. It could have been energetic, some type of angelic technology. But the point is, she did not get pregnant from her husband. She was pregnant from the actual divine conception. And so what we have, though, is a person who appears mortal in terms of his physical body, but then he achieves immortality through crucifixion, resurrection. It's a very, very interesting concept. So we're delving in on that because we are all apparently following this blueprint. And that means the logoic consciousness that Jesus embodied is our consciousness. We are all one. We are all going to return to that logoic consciousness. And then the question becomes, how does that actually happen? How do we get back to that galactic mind? How do we activate who and what we really are? We have another donation. This is Rockety Rocket. Namaste, David. If any of your insiders revealed details about a Stargate war, is the gift that 47 mentioned this week related to any Stargate sites in Iran? That's interesting. He did mention gifts. We're not really sure what that means, except that he did say that it had to do with the 10 oil tankers, which, then they're saying, well, we didn't do that. We didn't approve that or whatever. I know today is Palm Sunday and next week is Easter. That's right. But we're already diving in a week ahead. Some people want me to say Yeshua, not Jesus. That's fine. Anyway, I'll say Jesus just because it's something that everybody's familiar with. But yes, Yeshua works too. So, life is good here, and we're happy to have everybody on board. When we look at this thing, we unpack the Jesus story, we see that, yes, this was a blueprint of how galactic consciousness is activated in humanity. That's where the Casey readings become a little more contentious, a little more controversial, not quite the same as what we're seeing in other types of spiritual teachings, in that they say that Jesus was the blueprint that we are all following. We are all intentionally being activated into this higher Christed mind, this higher Christed state of awareness. And so crucifixion is a part of that process. And man, it has gotten really intense to be here on Earth, hasn't it? It's gotten really wild, all the things that are happening that are bringing us through this ascension, man. It's just like every day there's something going on. Let me get a little lip balm going here. Every day is something going on. And are you sure that she wasn't impregnated by aliens, Mary, like Giorgio on Ancient Aliens says? They do crack me up on that sometimes. No, I think it was much more advanced technology than just extraterrestrial mating. Like I said, Archangel Gabriel is probably vibrationally based in some way that we don't understand. But yeah, I mean, so many people were affected by this story, the story of Christ, the story of this ascension, resurrection experience. It's big, and it's not going away. So that is the blueprint that we're all following. That is the blueprint that we are here to emulate. You and I are working together right now to help activate those dormant potentials of consciousness, and they do exist. To recognize that you can become the light, you can become more evolved. That is a path that Jesus paved the way for, that we all now get to enjoy. And I think that's awesome. So without having to go into too much detail, there's nothing that esoteric about it. There's nothing that difficult about this process. The basic teachings were given to us, and they are consistent, not only in Christianity, but in many other teachings as well. And so I think that we find commonality about the idea of being loving, commonality about forgiveness, commonality about patience and long-suffering. When you look at the ascetic traditions like in Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, there's very similar things about having positive thoughts, loving thoughts, being activated in your consciousness to be that loving being and to have that resonance occur. And I just realized I got to turn this light on over here, so we'll do that right now. That's one that I missed. Every now and then I miss one, so I'm going to get it going. There we go. Boom. Done. All right. It's all good. You guys could handle that, right? You could handle a little bit of that. Don't forget to hit the like button, says Serena Bella. Yep, Jesus is 100% man and 100% God Almighty. Well, that's, I believe that too. But we are all destined to become the oneness. We are all destined to embody the Logos, to embody logoic consciousness, to embody the galactic mind. And so, yeah, it might take a long time for us. It might take many, many future incarnations and going through levels of dimensionality. But don't forget, the Tibetans had their rainbow body activation, and apparently that was a logoic return. Still doesn't undermine the value and the significance of Jesus, but I do think it is possible for us to activate that Christ consciousness, that Jesus didn't just want to be worshipped, he wanted to be emulated. He wanted us to live up to his example, to live by that truth, to live by that teaching, to become that which we already are. And that's one of the great sayings in esoteric philosophy, to become what you already are. And I love that saying. So, and I love you too. I'm glad that you're here. Easter and Palm Sunday leads up to that. And this is where he's on the way, he's on the path already. So, yes, everybody seems to want to teach something like the Golden Rule. You're exactly right, PC user. That's my point. Buddhism, Hinduism, other Sufism, they all seem to have very similar traditions about loving and about opening your heart, about being, a steward of the light and helpful to other people. And it's so great when you see that. Superman is the adopted son of John and Martha, who are both in the Bible. Yeah, I think the Superman story was to some degree inspired by the story of Christ, definitely. And, that movie, the original movie, of course, Christopher Reeve, was so inspiring, and they've done many retakes of it now. But anyway, when we look at what was really going on here, Jesus peels back the veil. He makes it clear to us that there's something else going on beyond our physical body, beyond our physical mind. We have a new reality that we're going to move into. There's a new consciousness. There's something greater than just the everyday mundane world that we live in. And that everyday mundane world is going to be transformed. But in order to get there, we have to go through crucifixion. So I believe that the Jesus message capped off something that we saw in many other ancient traditions from the time, which was this prediction of end times. Of course, Jesus speaks extensively about end times. He speaks about not one stone here that is standing now will remain standing. They will be knocked down. He talks about all kinds of interesting things, including, of course, Book of Revelations. And so there's this whole end times notion of Jesus that is very fascinating, the eschatological understandings. And that's what we're in now. We're in this kind of an end time situation. I think that's one of the reasons why disclosure why disclosure hasn't happened yet, is that they don't want us to have this consciousness that we are in some kind of spiritual reality of end times. Now, Color by Numbers just donated. J.D. Vance said, all ETs are demons. Is this true? I knew this would come up, and so that's why we're not actually, I'm going to read exactly what he said, and he did not say that they're all demons, okay? So I just want to be clear that there's a lot of things going on here, and anyway, fallen angels, yes, I would definitely say that crack up the fallen angels to being demons, but no, if you read his quote, it's pretty clear that he's talking about the fact that there's both, and that's interesting, yeah. Disclosure hasn't happened because it throws the cultural lens of the origin story of all major religions into question. It's a really good point. Donna Settle says, David, you're on fire today. You're inspirational. Thank you very much. I mean, this is it. This is our time to be alive. This is our time to be transformed. So many different ancient cultural prophecies, 35 different prophecies from around the world. Basically, every major legitimate spiritual tradition has an eschatology. It has an end time cosmology that talks about some type of solar event that transforms everything on Earth. And that is in the Book of Enoch, and we're going to read that again today. It's really, really fascinating. And so we're gonna dig in deep on this, and we're going to talk about how that event helps us become the light. That the event that Jesus went through, the Ascension, the resurrection, was apparently a template of this greater ascension that will happen all on planet Earth. Now, when does it happen? I'm not really sure. There may be a first wave. We may get something like that. And we're not really sure when it was. I had interpreted some prophecies I got to think that it was 2025. Clearly, we jumped the gun on that. But, you know, same thing happened in 2000, same thing happened in 2012. But 2025, I think, was a major, major benchmark where so much more of the future became visible to us. This exposure of negativity on Earth. I mean, think about how much people are learning about what's really going on. And the awesomeness, the oppressiveness of the evil that is there. And then right after we start getting into that, all of a sudden, boom, we've got this big distraction. We've got this whole thing happening with Iran. But we're here now, and you know, the point is that we're having an awakening. We're learning that this type of deep oppression exists, and some people never had that level of awareness of the negativity that could really be there before. Now they do. Now they see it, and it's an interesting thing to understand that, yeah, you know what, it's advertised very significantly and it's ongoing. I mean, look at what's happening in the world now with AI. My own friend, one of my closest friends, is telling me multiple people he knows, personally knows, who have lost their jobs or are losing their jobs to AI. That AI is taking over things like customer service, upper class managerial white-collar jobs. They are losing their pay. They are losing their financial livelihood to this new menace, if you will. And we're just kind of marching into this blindly. I mean, it seems pretty scary when you look at it about what's really going on. So Tammy says, I was told you have to sign up for it to have a beautiful life. If not, you'll be left behind. Yeah, I mean, the ascension is something you have to participate in. You have to be ready for your soul to transform. You want to be practicing these things because different people will handle this differently. But the law of one implies that it might be 100 to 700 years away before we get a full transfiguration. But I also wouldn't be surprised if once we get the exposure of the real negativity on Earth, when we get real disclosure, when all these things start to come out, that these events pave the way for a galactic family reunion. And that galactic family reunion is a big deal, man. We're talking about the return of angelic beings to the planet, that they come back and Jesus will be among them, is what we're led to believe, at least. This second coming of Christ is not just one thing. It's a whole armada of different beings. And so that's very, very fascinating. Gina Montoya donated. Thank you very much. She says, happy to see you. You need to work at being a good person in order to ascend. I totally agree. So yes, we're over 2,000 viewers now, so we're doing really well here at the half-hour mark. I'm glad that you guys are here. We've got a great audience. And so yes, we're going through a planetary crucifixion process as foretold in so many of these different ancient prophecies. It's not just one or two, it's 35. And they all have these interesting symbolic codes embedded in them that relate back to the numbers of the 25,920-year cycle that the Earth goes through. The wobbling on its axis has things in it like, for example, 72 by 360. It moves, the Earth's axis moves by 1 degree every 72 years. 1 degree of the circle. How many degrees are in a circle? 360. Okay. So if you have 360 degrees in a circle, and then it moves by 1 degree every 72 years, you multiply 360 by 72, and you get 25,920, which is the total number of years it takes for the Earth to do this. It's counter-rotating in the opposite direction from its normal rotation, and it takes 25,000 years to complete. We've talked about this extensively. The idea that it actually appears to be that we are orbiting Alpha Centauri, in the Mayan calendar end date of 2012 was expected to be maybe some type of solar flash. Well, on that exact date, just about December 21st, 2012, we did have a solar flash next door on the star known as Proxima Centauri. And I've showed you that before in many other slideshows that we've done. It's freaking incredible that there was actually a solar flash that Proxima Centauri, almost down to the day, because it takes 4.3 light years to get to Earth from that star. So in whatever it was, March or May of, I think March 2017, the light got here and we saw that the sun got much, much brighter very quickly. It would have scorched all the life on that solar system, on any planets around Proxima Centauri. It happened almost exactly on December 21st, but it's actually closer to the date of Christmas, December 25th, which is a very Christ-oriented day once again. We'll maybe go through that again next week for the Easter show. That would be great. We'll review some of that information. But anyway, it's a fascinating thing to realize that the anticipated solar flash of 2012 did happen. And so, you know, some ancient prophecies told us there was going to be one in 2025 as well. When I was bringing that date out, it included stuff from Saint Germain, where apparently Saint Germain was saying this to people. 2025 would be this epic return. We haven't seen that yet, but it's not going to happen until we're ready. No one knoweth the day nor the hour. But I don't believe that we're going to go on in the mundane reality much longer. I do think this cosmic family reunion is coming our way, and I'm very, very excited about it. So it's a planetary initiation. We move through this as a planet. We all go through a transfiguration process that involves crucifixion, because again, Christ is the blueprint that we're all following. So the crucifixion is part of that process, and this is all the negativity we're going through. The negativity leads to a planetary activation. It's not just that we're going through this suffering and there's no end to it and it's just going to keep on going and it gets scarier and scarier and it gets worse and worse. I know it can seem like that. This war is very upsetting, don't get me wrong, but it's also leading somewhere. I don't believe that we're going to be stuck here forever. I do think we're going to be okay. I'm confident that we're going to work through this, that we're going to be okay, that things are going to work out. And in fact, I know they're going to work out. I'm very confident, certain, in fact, that this is all going to work out the way that it should. We have not been abandoned. We have not been left alone by the universal mind. The negativity is leading to a planetary activation. That's such an important point. You can't even stress it enough. We're up to 2,200 viewers now. Thank you very, very much for that. And, you know, so we have, anyway, you know, it's ultimately not a bad thing that we're here together, that we're sharing with each other. I'm trying to share a positive message. That's my focus. I believe that Jesus is real. I believe the Christ consciousness is real. I believe it's the galactic mind. And as you activate that galactic consciousness, you are transforming yourself. You are becoming something greater than you ever thought you could be. And that really, really changes the game for us. So as we become more cosmically aware, our souls are enhancing, our vibrations are enhancing. Oh, great. Beverly Adams is here, and we're happy to have you. So anyway, yes, everything will be fine, David. Father appreciates you. Thank you very much. And somebody says Enoch is the model of the Messiah, as I understand it, anointing, symbolizing, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you very much, David Savage. He had a biological healing to undergo in order to interact bodily with the angelic ETs of the cosmos. We have Manny Figueroa. He donated. Thank you very much. I don't know how to pronounce Spanish, but Dios te bendiga y alabado sea el Maestro Jesus. Hope that I didn't mangle that too much. Charlie Winner. just donated. Thank you very much, Charlie. She says, let the light expose the darkness. Have no fear. Just process the karma. God is all things. Love you, David. Thank you, Charlie. Really appreciate that. David, you are awesome. All right. So yes, when we get through the understandings of this, we realize that yes, there was an anticipated solar flash. The Mayan calendar ending in 2012, 5,125 years in length. That's exactly 1/5 of the 25,000-year cycle. 5125, the Mayan calendar length, 5,125 years. Multiply that by 5, you get 25,625, which is pretty darn close to 25,920. So these cycles all appear to interact, and different cultures were in fact looking at this 25,000-year cycle that I believe is the orbit through celestial geometry created by Alpha Centauri. And when we get to the end of the cycle, we're going into a geometric nexus. Some have called it a photon belt or a galactic cloud. And that galactic cloud of energy has some type of transformative effect upon our sun, which then actually shoots out these fourth density photons and creates this planet-wide activation. That is what's in the Book of Enoch, many other texts promising us a solar flash. It's very, very exciting. Diana Peralta, happy belated birthday, David, and she donated $100. Thank you very much. And then Manny Figueroa says, en anglais, God bless you and praise Master Jesus. All right, great. Thank you. Thank you very much for your help. Thank you for the donations. We're now pushing 2,300 viewers. That's awesome. I'm glad you guys showed up here. We're still at the 41-minute mark. You guys are all kind of filing in as time goes on. So yes, we're celebrating Easter. We're celebrating the Ascension. We're celebrating the resurrection a week in advance. We'll do it again next week because, you know, this is my whole, Ascension is my whole shtick. And I really do believe this stuff. I'm not lying to you about my beliefs. I'm actually sharing with you stuff that I have great convictions about. So when I look at the story of Jesus, I'm saying, here's an example of something that really is meant to resonate with our core, to define us, to change us, to give us hope and meaning and purpose. And so as we're going through very difficult things on earth, we were told to expect this. Ancient prophecies told us to expect this. They told us that we were going to go through hell. They told us we were going to go through negativity. They told us it would be difficult. They told us that these would be the times that would try our souls. They told us that it was not going to be easy, and in fact, it's not easy at all. But this negativity that we're going through is creating a planetary activation. There are analogies in the book of Revelation and in other books as well about the concept of the tree, and that the harvest will not occur until all of the fruits of the tree are ripe, and the tree has to ripen in its proper season. So the 25,000-year cycle essentially gets into the idea that the earth itself undergoes an energetic change, and that energetic change then ripens the fruit, if you will, which is humanity, so that we all are transformed at the same time. And it's not going to happen until the conditions are right for that. Mayan Mountain said, I bought your books for my girlfriend, Rachel. She loves them. Thank you so much for what we do. And that was great too, because that's a donation. We also have Bonnie Demlong. She just donated. Thank you guys very, very much for what you're doing. We really appreciate everything. And so, yes, thank you very much for all of the help. Thank you for what you're doing here. And yes, you know, I use the word shtick, but I mean, I just use it as a positive in the sense that, you know, for me, this is a shtick would be like a common routine that you do. And so my show, my common routine is to talk about spirituality, UFOs, angelic beings, and ascension. And you guys like that or you wouldn't be here. Beverly Adams says, Jesus said you can do all I do and more. You just don't know who you are. We are the future healing med beds. That's right. It's a really great promise. I mean, the Christian promise is something wonderful. When we think about what this means for us, what this ascension really means and how far we can take this, it's incredible. The scope, the majesty, the glory and beauty of who we become and what we really are, you just can't match up to it, man. It's so amazing to think about what's really going to happen on earth and as we transform and as we become more than we ever thought we would be. It's really, really cool. And so Yiddish is the pepper of English. That's right. Shtick is a Yiddish word. That's right. German and Hebrew put together. Don't forget the juicy intel on current things going on. Yeah, we are definitely on the verge of getting some kind of disclosure. And I believe that all of that is related to this planetary activation. It's very, very cool, very exciting. It's a very great time to be here. It's a very great time to be alive. And we are working through this process together. So the planetary activation that I'm talking about happens through what I would call a divinely ordained celestial process. And I was explaining to you a little bit about solar flares and solar activations and the idea that there could be a solar flash. This is a fun and exciting concept for everybody because, frankly, it can be really painful. We're looking at a lot of difficulty on Earth. And in the hero's journey story, remember, he has to appear to be dead for 5 pages of screenplay, but then he comes back to life and he is renewed and transformed and uplifted by his own or her own hero's journey. And this is a soul blueprint for all of us. We all go through the hero's journey. So let's talk a little bit about that, because last Sunday we were wondering if all hell was about to break loose. You remember that? Because the very next day of Monday was the deadline for the United States to launch an all-out attack if they did not surrender. And then remember, the counter threat was, well, if you do that, if you attack our energy infrastructure, then we're going to blow up everything you got, all your energy infrastructure, which could essentially put us back into the dark ages, could create an energy crisis the likes of which we've never seen before. Though we do have alternative over unity technologies out there, we would have to mass produce them and we wouldn't necessarily be able to get that done fast enough. So that got really, really scary. Then the deadline got extended, and since then we had 2 deadline extensions. So first it was 5 days, then it became 10 days. So bottom line was that when I was doing the show last week, I did not know if we were about to go into something really bad. And I'm not trying to be fearful here. In fact, I think this is just the opposite. It's a positive message because we prayed for peace, and at least in the short term, peace has persisted. These 2 deadline extensions, yes, it's in the future now, but at least in the short term, peace has persisted. So in that sense, our humble efforts may have contributed to the outcome. Why? Because of the so-called meditation effect. Right now, we have 2,330 concurrent viewers. That's pretty good for the 47-minute mark. And so when you have that number of people here, we see that, yes, that changes the game pretty significantly. And, we're not alone. We're not alone. We're actually living with each other in this collective awakening together. And when a certain number of people, the square root of 1% apparently, get together and they meditate on world peace, the meditation effect discovered by Transcendental Meditation, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, found out that, yes, meditation activates our consciousness, it activates our awareness, it brings us to this higher level of our own beingness, where we are now seeing the planet becoming more peaceful. They got up to a 72% reduction in crime, war, terrorism, death, fatalities, illnesses. The economy gets better. People don't have as many drug overdoses. Everything improves in a really remarkable way through nothing more than about 7,000 people or so in meditation. So we create that loving space here in the show. The whole show itself is the meditation. And we were praying, and we prayed in our meditation that we be okay and that the world not collapse into chaos. And sure enough, we got 2 deadline extensions since then, and we're still in the game, and everything's okay. Hasn't turned into a world war. So again, in that sense, I believe our humble efforts may have contributed. And I'm very grateful that they did. I'm very grateful that they did. So Tracy Always Rocks donated. And DME, Soldier of God, look forward to the next phase of the Great Awakening. Thank you as well, David, for all you do. It's the greatest time to be alive. Love and light. All right. So the ones who are awake know the war is just central casting. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that, because people are really dying. And so, we're losing soldiers on our side. We're losing soldiers on the other side. Apparently 13 of our bases are now uninhabitable. One of our E-3 AWACS aircraft just got hit too in Saudi Arabia. That was a real shocker. There's only 16 of them that exist. They're very essential for radar and stuff. So it's a little squirrely. I'm not gonna deny that. Maybe only half of the E-3s are in service, and they already had 6 of them that they were using for this theater of operations. So, you know, Russia may be adding intel on targeting, but thankfully there's no open World War III, anything like that going on. There may be supplying going on of drones to this country as well. So it's very intense. And anyway, we've got a lot of things happening here that are... That's a really funny joke. J-Bo says, I need to find a shirt, David, that I saw. Moses was in front of a burning bush, and he says, oh my gosh, my herb, crap. I guess like the burning is the herb is what he's trying to say. Anyway, I don't know if he was doing that. Anyway, yes, we always have casualties in wars between light and darkness. I pray the light will win. David, you look healthy today. Your hair looks nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, so it's not a bad thing that we're going through this planetary awakening ultimately, but it is scary. The war developments, thankfully, are not turning into total catastrophe, but we are going to get, and we already are getting, increases in our gas prices, that kind of stuff. It's going to have a negative effect on the economy. Let's hope that we can sort this out pretty quickly, open up the strait, get all this stuff working again. There are plot twists every day, and I admit it to you, it's really tough on me. I'm not sleeping all that well. I have insomnia, but I know that we're going to be okay. I do believe that. And so right here today, as we're doing this, I think this is a valuable service because we're helping to contribute to the meditation effect. We're helping to increase that collective consciousness of love and peace and higher vibration. And so in that sense, I do believe that part of why things didn't go crazy last week, and not all, but part of it could be that we did this meditation because our numbers are large enough, they should be, when you look at the total number of people who watch the show, in order to have a collective influence. What are we working against? We're working against the difficulty that everybody's facing. Most people are going through a great deal of stress. They are emotionally unstable, unbalanced. They don't feel happy inside. They are very, very afraid. And rightfully so. I mean, there's a reason why this is scary. And so Ross Poor says, what is the real reason for the Iran war? Is it the Stargate or is it the oil like the Iraq war? The first thing the U.S. soldiers went for is the museum. Well, again, there very well could be stuff in Iran that is ancient and very valuable, but there is no ground invasion going on yet. And I think that right now, obviously, as I've said before, even if you can't stand this administration, and again, my whole family, I'm the only one who is not on the left, right? So when I have a conversation, I'm focusing on how do we get along? How do we find commonality? How do we not hate each other? And how do we try to get along peacefully with each other? My whole family is on the left. And when we look at it from their side, you know, it's very upsetting. They're very, very distraught. So even if you don't like the administration, I would ask you to just consider, why would they go to this much political risk to do something like this, knowing that it's going to make people upset, knowing it's going to cause loss of life? And is it really just something as simple as this assertion that, oh, well, he's being manipulated, he's being controlled by a certain country? I know a lot of podcasters out there are saying that now. I don't believe that it's that at all, because if it was something like that, there should have been pushback from the military. They wouldn't have allowed this to happen. They wouldn't have wanted to go forward. I think that it's something that accomplishes mutual objectives. And so again, there could be a whole lot of nasty stuff that was coming out of this country. It was apparently a very big part of the swamp. They showed us that in Alliance postings, that there's symbolism they were using that's consistent with other stuff that we've seen that represents this very negative force. And so I do believe that this was nobody would take this kind of risk just because they're put in a hard place. They would take this kind of risk because they felt it was absolutely necessary to get us to the goal that they want, which ultimately is a peaceful and harmonious planet. So again, I don't know all the details, and I think it's very important, again, as I said last week, that everybody in this community recognize we don't know everything we think we know. We can pretend that we know this or that. We can try to do our best to do research, but there is proprietary information that we simply don't have that is in the hands of these higher authorities that are looking at this in these various positions of power. And so maybe you don't trust it at all. I understand that, but I at least trust that there is something going on that we don't have all the details for. And in the future, we may get those details. And maybe at that point, we're going to be very, very glad that this actually got done, because it's going to be really something. I believe once the truth comes out, it's going to shock people. They're not really ready for that truth. It's going to be very, very intense, to say the least. So most people, as a result of what we're dealing with, they're going through a great deal of stress. And people are saying, you're literally watching a movie playing out. Mass consciousness is awakening slowly but surely. I agree with David. We don't know what is going on behind the scenes. Some people think he's been blackmailed or tricked. Again, I don't really think it's that simple. I don't believe that would happen. David Savage says, Shalom, shalom, la'olam, olam. Shalom doubled means perfect peace of completion. Olam means concealed, refers to the universe, concealing God. Everlasting, perfect peace to the universe eternally. Thank you. So yes, look, I know that wars by their very fundamental nature are upsetting. I'm not trying to legitimize the idea, oh yeah, war is great. No, it's hell. War is hell. But also, we are already in it. And so to ignore that it's happening is to not pay attention to the moment of time that we're in. We're in this distinctive little moment of time, and we're on Palm Sunday here, the week before Easter. The message of Christ is that we are going to become the light. And so war involves fatalities, war involves death, war involves suffering. So did the crucifixion. Crucifixion was Jesus' own activation. It transformed him into this higher level of being, this multidimensional light body activation. It's very, very exciting when you think about what this really means and where it's going. And so, we're trying to find a way to be able to, Axis Monday says, David, you missed my super chat. Let's see where that was. Yeah. Have you seen the city Astana in Kazakhstan? You should do a show on it, please. They have a pyramid meeting room and lots of other symbolic structures have been built there. Very strange city. Love you. And we also had DME, Soldier of God. Tracy always rocks. Donations as well. Sorry if I missed your donations, but now I got them, and I'll keep on going. Well, somebody says the audio keeps cutting off. Nobody else seems to be getting that. What do you know about Astana in Kazakhstan? I don't really know anything about it. That's the first I'd heard of it. What did he say here? He said that it was a pyramid meeting room and lots of other symbolic structures built there. Well, anyway, yeah, we're hearing that it's good audio. So I don't know anything about that, but I can only talk about things that I've actually studied. Astana is not something I've studied. But, anyway, we're up to almost 2,500 viewers now. That is awesome. And Charlie Winter says, she donated and says, Megyn Kelly suggested that this certain country pushed us into this war, promising that there would be a civil uprising aiding to easy change. They wanted to pipe oil through them towards ports they will control, and they were called out by the VP. Curious. Well, again, we don't want to be haters here. I'm not trying to be a hater on anybody, but thank you for the comment. I think it's important too that we recognize that yes, we don't know everything, and it's the fog of war. It's a strain. It's a difficult time, and I know a lot of people are really pissed off. I don't want to be one of those pissed off people. I don't want to add to the negativity. I think it's important that we step back and realize again, I do not believe that this would only have been the result of some type of pressure. The pressure could have been applied, but I think that what we're really dealing with here is something that at least the majority of this administration thinks they really needed to do it. and that it was going to be an essential component before whatever happens down the road. That these are certain goals or benchmarks that had to be met before they could get to the next level, whatever that is. Truth is hidden in plain sight. That's right. Astana is a fallen angel meetup place. It's very deep. Somebody else says it's the capital of Kazakhstan. Anyway, Middle Eastern part of, I know where Kazakhstan is. Yeah, it's the Middle Eastern part of Russia. Old Russia, USSR. So anyway, yeah, there's probably a lot of symbolism there. I mean, look, the negativity that we've talked about in previous shows, it is ensconced all over the world. It's everywhere. And we're learning about that, and these files got put out, and man, did that change things. It's still unfolding. We haven't seen where this is going necessarily. I don't think it's just going to stop there. I think it's going to expand a lot more. And I really do hope that everybody who is innocent or otherwise can get amnesty is able to make a deal. And, that if there is some type of mass accountability, that it happens in an ethical way. I'm against there being a whole bunch of killings or whatever you want to call it. But, I think that we need to handle this peacefully and as ethically as possible. But it's outside my hands. I'm not in any control over this stuff. I'm just reporting on what I think is going on. And yeah, so that's true. The protesters, the loss of the protesters was really sad. And so the president did want to help them out. And, he couldn't have ignored what happened. I totally agree with that. So anyway, it's a very contentious time, but it's not a time for us to be slacking off. It's a time for us to rise up and step up to what is possible, step up to the next level of our own work, our own due diligence. What can we do? What are we able to do to make this better? How can we make the world a better place? How can we expand our own consciousness? How can we transform what we thought we knew into something that is more aligned with truth and peace and love and vitality in the universe? And I think we're doing that. That is ultimately the idea of becoming the light, that there's a lot of things that we can't change. There's a lot of things in the world that we're just looking at them, and these events take place and they're very upsetting. And then we say, well, I can't do anything about that. I can't do anything about that. Well, but what we can do is we can transform ourselves. And so the Bodhisattva vow, I seek my own enlightenment for the sake of all beings. Well, the enlightenment that I'm seeking is to understand, why are all these contentious things happening? Is there a greater purpose for this? Is there some beneficial reason for why we're going through this initiation, why we're going through this very powerful change? And we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen the full scope of what could be, but it's out there. So I think that we're going to be fine. I think we're going to be good. And I want to remind you also that with this ascension process we're going through, the fear of the unknown is worse than what actually happens. It happens over and over and over again, doesn't it? That something looks really bad, something looks like it's going to be terrible, and then we get to that point in time, and it turns out that, like what we were wondering, is Monday going to be like this really big disaster? Is there going to be an attack and a counterattack? And nope, it didn't happen. So once again, I think that we're all being challenged. We're all being brought to our core, and that is the planetary crucifixion process. It doesn't just happen to one of us, it happens to all of us. We're going through a collective Christ initiation, a collective crucifixion, if you will. It's not just happening in any one area. It's not just one war. It's everybody being challenged. It's the AI menace. It's all these different things coming up at once that are bringing us to this understanding that, hey, you know what? It's a very difficult time to be here, but then the fear of the unknown ends up being worse than what actually happens. So now what I'd like to do once again is to read some scripture for you. This is from the Old Testament. This is Psalm 56, the King James Version. Be merciful unto me, O God, for man would swallow me up. He fighting daily oppresseth me. Mine enemies would daily swallow me up. For they be many who fight against me, O thou most high. What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. This was written by King David. It's very, very beneficial stuff. What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. There are many who fight against me. So asking God for mercy, we can do that. We can ask God to have mercy on us, to help us to feel safer, help us to feel more aligned with our cosmic identity and purpose. That's really, really good. And as it goes on, it says, in God I will praise his word. In God I have put my trust. I will not fear what flesh can do unto me. Every day they wrest my words. All their thoughts are against me for evil. So yes, this particular passage says, I will not fear what flesh can do to me. And we got to remember that. We got to remember that we have immortality. There is a greater level of our consciousness that is far beyond the material world, and that never will be lost. It's always here. It's always a part of who we are. And so we have trust in the higher forces. We have trust in the benevolence of the divine infinite creator, of the universe, of how all this works out. Let's keep on going a little bit more. They gather themselves together. They hide themselves. They mark my steps when they wait for my soul. Shall they escape by iniquity? And of course, the implied answer to that is no, that they will not escape. Thou tellest my wanderings. Put thou my tears into thy bottle. Are they not in thy book? So again, it's a beautiful inspirational passage. And they're gathering together, they're hiding themselves, waiting for our soul. This negativity is everywhere. I mean, there's lots of different aspects to the so-called Antichrist. The Casey reading said the Antichrist represents the spirit that goes against the loving consciousness of Christ. And that can come in many different forms. It's not just one person, it's not just one group or entity. It's a force in our planet that we are lovingly working to surmount or to otherwise transform, because it's also within ourselves. We all have Christ and the Antichrist within us to varying degrees. We all have the good guy on one shoulder, the bad guy on the other shoulder, various voices competing with us to get our attention. That is one of the things that we're taught in the Law of One, that both sides are allowed to influence our consciousness. Both sides are allowed to give us telepathic nudges to try to get us to think one way or another. That's just reality. So, you know, I'm not going to do too much that's religious. I just wanted to read you one quote of Scripture. So just relax. This is not just how we're doing all this all the time, but I do like that quote. And, you know, there's a lot of people here who appreciate the Bible. Oop, we had a $333 donation from the Sunflower Life. Comes in at a beautiful time. And we got another Joel Goldsmith quote here, and it says, the whole purpose of our existence is to be a fitting instrument through which Creator's glory may appear. We become the light of the world in proportion to our degree of illumination. We are but instruments through which that light may shine. That is beautiful. And yes, it's the angel number donation. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Somebody says, do not fear appears 365 times in the Bible, once for every day of the year. That's really cool. I did not know that. If that's true, that's really awesome. And we're up to 2,500 viewers at the 1 hour and 8 minute mark. 108 is a very important sacred number, by the way. Good little numerical synchronicity there. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So Manny Figueroa is asking for Angry Daddy. Let me take that suggestion. I'll start thinking about that. Ah, son, for the love of God, if you could just avoid all this Bible talk, son. People don't want to hear that crap. They just want to get back to extraterrestrials and UFOs and stop giving us all this religious gobbledygook mumbo-jumbo, because I have had it. You think that you're going to come out there and you're going to try to convert people into some other way of thinking that they didn't already want. You're trying to push this on them. Give me a freaking break, son. This is not the way you're going to win the war, okay? Let's just be clear. If you want to do the right thing, you got to back off of that stuff, pump the brakes, get the heck out of here, because I'll tell you what, it's not doing you any favors with dear old daddy, because dear old daddy doesn't want to hear that stuff, man. I am tired of the organized religions. I'm tired of the indoctrination. I'm tired of all the nonsense and the crap and the BS that they're out there trying to do. So, son, you better listen up, and you better listen up good, because I have had it. Woo! Yeah, there you go. Okay, a little bit of Angry Daddy. Spice things up a little bit. Keep it nice. He is the voice of reason. Now I feel better. Thank you, Angry Dad. Look at this. We got tons and tons of laughter icons coming in. So some people don't like it. Some people don't think it's funny. But actually, you know, you can clearly see now that everybody is laughing, laughing, laughing. You better pump the brakes. Somebody doesn't like it. Okay, that's one person. Savage Beauty doesn't like it. I have to mute it every time. Not funny. Well, anyway, Beverly Adams donated again. Individuation, Carl Jung's work. Embrace your shadow. It's used for the good. Peace through strength. I totally agree. Reminds me of Mad TV. Should do a comedy club act. That's good stuff. It's a Cyber News Smith. Daddy knows better. So yes, there's a couple people who don't like it, but for the most part, everybody likes it. So it's controversial, but we bring out a little bit of daddy magic once in a while. And you know, for some reason, the comments don't always like the term Angry Daddy. I guess people are worried that it might be, the moderation system seems to think it could be bad, but it is just the name of my character. I don't see it as anything that bad. It's actually, yep, it lightens the mood and it's beautiful. So yeah, it's a good time to be here. I'm glad that I showed up today because again, you know, you're suffering, I'm suffering. We're all going through various levels of uncertainty, various levels of concern. And so it's a good time to remember that this is a planetary initiation and it is going somewhere. We're not just stuck here indefinitely. We're not just trapped in this forever. And, you know, thank you, David. You haven't done a good Angry Daddy, and that was just a little bit. Thank you for all you do, says Michael Crane. There you go. So that's right. I haven't done readings in a very, very long time. It's a long, long time since I did that. But anyway, so, you know, life doesn't have to be about suffering and pain and fear and annoyances. Life can involve transformation, activation, higher consciousness. Those are the good things. Those are the things that we're really looking forward to and how it all transforms. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, basically, if you say Angry Daddy, which is the name of my character, it could easily get held for review. That would happen. It does seem to happen. So anyway, we'll keep on going here. So the point is that what we're seeing here has not escalated into a world war. And I think that's a very, very important point that we need to remember is that, okay, this is not, we're not going through the actual, like, we're not being drafted. We're not having, you know, thousands and thousands of people dying or even millions of people dying. And so far, this is still just a regional conflict. It hasn't erupted anything bigger. But yes, it is a war in the Middle East. And that does make it sound pretty biblical. So there's all these crossovers and kind of like ways in which you could be afraid of it based on the fact that, yes, it aligns with a lot of different things that we were told to expect in, for example, the Bible. And then you look at the other changes that we're seeing and all these different things that are happening at once, and it's a very scary time. But it has not ascended into a world war, thank God. And I am always reminded that we have angelic protection. Now, a lot of times these beings are working, but we don't know what they're doing. They can telepathically influence outcomes. They can, I believe they do exist. And again, my contention that we've gone through in so many different shows is that the angelic phenomenon is unified with the UFO phenomenon. They're fundamentally one and the same thing. And so this is actually a very fascinating new concept that brings us to, you know, greater and greater levels of attainment, greater and greater levels of understanding to recognize that, hey, what if there's a common through line between the angelic ideas of ancient scriptures and the modern UFO phenomenon? Well, yes, I believe that angelic protection is here now, that this is a key aspect of the UFO phenomenon. What did these beings want us to know more than anything? They want us to know that we are the light, we are the love, we are the embodiment of the galactic and universal consciousness. I think that's what their real message is all about. They want us to know that we're not alone. They want us to be aware of that. And we have some really great science to back that up. So again, I want to bring up the amplituhedron discussion about, becoming the light. It's a great time to mention this, that again, all of space and time is ultimately emanating from a geometric form. And this was originally pioneered by Sir Roger Penrose, who said that the universe is made of fields, no particles. And he believed that with his scientific research that all of the universe was emanating from this object. He couldn't quite solve all the math, but the idea was that this object is somehow creating all of reality. And you notice that there is a tetrahedron in the middle of it, right? What you see there in the top in the middle, it looks like a pyramid made of three-sided triangles. And there's a little pyramid there in the middle that you can see. And there's actually more than one. So he told us again that we're all in quantum entanglement, that we're all part of fields. And this was a video that came out a while ago. My mom sent it to me. Cosmos the Penrose Way had 85,913 views. And this is the write-up that they had. Again, I think this is important to remember because this really does tie into the idea that we are becoming the light. And this is what our true nature really is. Everything you learned about atoms and particles is wrong. There are no particles, only quantum fields vibrating in patterns that are so complex that they look like objects. Nobel Prize winner Sir Roger Penrose reveals the profound truth of quantum field theory. You are not made of things, you are made of fields. Discover why the particle picture is fundamentally wrong, how quantum field theory replicates particles with field excitations, and why empty space is full of quantum fluctuations. Learn how electrons are not little balls, but ripples in a universal electron field, why identical particles are actually identical, same field, different excitations, and how quantum entanglement makes sense when you understand there are no separate things, only patterns in unified fields. Explore the philosophical implications. You are not a collection of objects, but a temporary knot in the quantum field structure, connected at the very deepest level to everything in the universe. There you go. You are a knot in the quantum field. It's fascinating. From wave-particle duality to virtual particles, Casimir effect twistor theory, understand why space-time itself is an emergent phenomenon, and fields are the only fundamental reality. That's right. So we had another donation here, BlackBerry. Talk about Project Bluebeam, please. Okay, well, it's a little bit off topic, but we can do that. It's a request. Project Bluebeam is the idea of a staged, fake alien invasion of planet Earth. And we do have that Spielberg alien invasion movie coming up that's going to be out a little bit later this year. And so around the time of disclosure, it might be something that we see. It's the idea that we do have this so-called legacy program. The Age of Disclosure film has now talked about that. The legacy program being something that, is holding on to great UFO secrets. I have many, many insiders I've spoken to who had personal exposure to this. And, they're definitely, no, there's no script I'm reading. My God. Anyway, we had a troll come in. Thank you, Vacapalo, for that. But no, I believe in what I say. This is not, you may not like or agree with me, but I absolutely do believe what I'm saying. And the reason, there's a lot of other things I could do with my life that would be a lot safer, okay? We're going to talk about the missing UFO researchers and how scary that is. Because, different people have gone missing after the disclosure was announced. Some of them before, some of them after. We're going to get into that whole thing. So I've talked about it week after week. We're probably going to do that. But, so again, I'm not averse to sharing what I really think, regardless of the consequences, regardless of the danger involved. And yeah, there's a lot of danger. For anybody to think that I'm not in danger, to think that I don't have any risk doing this, you couldn't be farther from the truth. There's incredible risk in doing this. But we are ultimately looking at, with the Bluebeam thing, the idea that there might be some type of staged fake attack. This was what was warned to us by Wernher von Braun, the founder of NASA, on his deathbed with his secretary, Dr. Carol Rosen. He said the final card will be the alien card. And they're going to try to make it look convincing, and they will do it right when their back is up against the wall. This would be the negative elite, the the swamp, whatever you want to call them. And yeah, I mean, there's complications with the whole idea of how this would happen and why would they be doing it. And I understand it's very confusing, but the point is that there does appear to be reliable opposition to this group that is ongoing, and the pressure is on. It's not related to just any one administration. It's a much deeper movement that's been going on for decades behind the scenes. And I do think that we're going to see major revelations, major truths, major disclosure. And I look forward to that because it's going to be a paradigm shift, the likes of which we've never really had before. David, don't give the trolls the satisfaction of even mentioning them. Thank you. I agree with you. So again, getting back to this concept of becoming the light, space-time is emergent fields of the only fundamental reality. So this again is the idea that Penrose believed the universe was emanating from a single object. This is the great spiritual teaching that we're all here to embody and to enjoy, that there is one object that this whole universe is made from, and it is ultimately against the Big Bang model. That's what Stephen Hawking was arguing. But this is very different than that. This is a whole new way of looking at things. And in this new model, Penrose had this completely different idea. And the idea was, again, that we are all a function of fields and that those fields all come out of one single object. This is not unlike the concept of the Higgs boson, that there's one single object that the whole universe is ultimately made from in quantum mechanics. And so there again is Penrose's version of what this thing looks like. And it's pretty wild. So again, 4,000 people on average each week come to listen, learn about whatever David chooses to share with us. If you don't like the topic, stop bugging him to change the material. It's rude. Well, I don't think, I mean, I can work it in, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it rude, but if somebody has a request, I'll dutifully honor it and all that kind of stuff. Also, you see at the bottom of the screen here, dwilcock.com is burned in there. You can go down there and put in your email address. That is very helpful. It gives us a way to reach you by email. So if you haven't already done that, that's another thing you can do. It's really cool. Anyway, this one object apparently was the origin of the entire universe, of space and time. This was the weird contention of Penrose, that all space and time emerged out of this object. And then that was actually solved again by Nima Arkani Hamed, who actually was able to crack the code. I never get tired of reporting on this. A mathematical object that's multidimensional, and this is the heart of quantum physics, that all of the universe is emanating from this. These two guys worked on it together, Yaroslav Trunka, Nima Arkani Hamed, and it is this fundamental idea that all of space and time is the emanation of that single geometric form that he discovered. Now, Penrose had that in its nascent form, but Arkani Hamed brought it to the next level. It has dazzling philosophical implications for us when we think about the fact that we are now not alone in the universe, that we are created from this single geometric form that he called the amplituhedron, as you can see right here. Very, very fascinating stuff, and it really does take us a long way. So this is his drawing of it. This was the original Penrose model. Penrose couldn't solve everything. Nima Arkani Hamed went back and said, yes, in fact, this is the solution. So it's a little bit different looking than what Penrose had. It's actually simpler. It actually looks simpler because it's really just 4 tetrahedrons stuck together. Who could have imagined that you could solve the whole universe of quantum physics through something that's simple? And so, my contention is that this is the basis of reality, that this is the basis of the intelligent universe, because if you are made of this, if this is what the universe is made of, then because you are alive and intelligent and conscious, that means this object has to be alive, intelligent, and conscious. If this object is outside of space and time, that means you ultimately are outside of space and time. So it's a cosmic cosmology. And I also believe that this shape is the photon. It mirrors the true nature of the photon, because we can ultimately suggest that it is fundamentally something like this. I've talked about this many times before. This is the star tetrahedron, or Merkaba, where you got 2 tetrahedrons put together, and it overlays very nicely with your amplituhedron here. So we're going to do that again side by side. You see how well they fit together when we superimpose them over each other. That's what we're going to do right now. You see, yep, if you just add more tetrahedrons pretty much, you get this level of symmetry that shows up that gives you the interlaced tetrahedron, or Merkaba. And that's this little guy right here that I've got, this geometry. It's a beautiful thing. You can turn it different ways. You get different types of formations out of it. And if you turn it this way, then yes, it looks like a cube. I got that right. Yeah. So anyway, it's very, very fascinating. And I love having the map of how the universe really functions, because if that's what this is really about, if the universe is really ultimately made of this geometry, then, you know, there's so much more that we can get out of our own lives. It's just fascinating. So again, the photon was captured by Radek Chopkiewicz from Stanford University. He used this device here, and his scientific explorations came up with a way to keep photons in one place, and then when he did that, when he got a holographic image of it, it looks like the weird cross of Malta. And when you superimpose the star tetrahedron over that, the little shape I was just showing you, the photon fits perfectly with the star tetrahedron, with the interlaced Merkaba, whatever you want to call it. Even those blue areas on the outside, it's all very similar. And so this suggests again that we had one photon that created the universe, and that photon, you know, is very fascinating. So we've talked about before the idea that the creator is within. This is one of the things the law of one says, and again, that photonic reality really brings it all home to us. So the idea that the universe may in fact be an emanation of a photon, well, there's your Star of David. There's your star tetrahedron, you know, the realization that this is a teaching about who we are and what we really are. It's fascinating. So the law of one shares us this beautiful quote: "The understanding, experiencing, accepting, and merging of self with self and with other self, and finally with the Creator, is the path to the heart of the self. In each infinitesimal part of yourself resides the one in all of its power." So if we are in a photonic reality, if we're ultimately made of photons, then yes, every photon that makes every atom, that makes every molecule, that makes every cell of our bodies, every single photon is in each infinitesimal part of yourself. The tiniest things we're made of as photons, resides the one in all of its power. And that quote to me is just beautiful and really exemplifies and enunciates so much, revealing that we are in fact in a holographic reality, that we have this underlying geometric unity in creation, which was the core teaching of the Star of David, that it is the original photon the universe was made from. And again, since I always like to add this in, that the geometry can appear just from vibration, when you have sound in water, and you got Dr. Hans Jenny who pioneered this research, you get this geometry where the white areas in the water are sand particles, and the black areas are where there is no sand. Everything is inside a drop of water. If you have a glass of water and you got particles in it, and the particles are just loose and they're floating around, it just looks like muddy water. But when you vibrate that sand at a certain sound frequency, you get this incredible geometry that looks like the Merkaba. There it is right there again. And as you put it through different sound frequencies, you get different geometries. On the left is more cubical, and like the octahedron on the right, you get the star tetrahedron, the Merkaba. So if the universe was created by vibration, that's what it says. In the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was God, the Word was with God. The Hindus also even say it's a primordial sound, the Aum. Holy crap, you guys, there it is. There's your Aum, there's your vibration, there's your original photon, the photon created by vibration. It's a cosmic cosmology. All of these different things here, these 9 different phases, are just phases of the wave that we're seeing. And so I've talked about this many times before. It's worthy of repetition that the tetrahedron is one of 5 Platonic solids that are all fundamentally vibrational shapes They all fit perfectly inside of a sphere. They all have all of the corners touching the sphere equally. Every side is the same length. Every angle is the same measurement. And they fit perfectly inside of a sphere. Tetrahedron, octahedron, cube, icosahedron, dodecahedron. And they correspond to the 5 different elements. If you include ether as the dodecahedron. It's very, very fascinating. So again, all of these geometries show up in many, many different guises. They show up in the nucleus of the atom. They show up in the electron clouds. They show up on the global grid where the planes and ships disappear on Earth, and Bermuda Triangle and places like that. They show up in the spacings between the planets. I showed you that. They show up in the spacings between galaxies. They show up all over the place. And so the universe is fundamentally a vibrational entity. And that's a very, very cool thing. And I never get tired of talking about it. And again, it comes back to the concept that all of the universe is made of light, that we are the emanation of the original photon. And so all of these different spiritual cosmologies, we're talking, this week's topic again is becoming the light, say that we will become the light. We will become the embodiment of that light that made us. And it's a very, very cool thing to think about how that works. That becoming the light is actually our destiny. And that we're going to reunify with our own true nature as intelligent infinity. We are having a temporary human experience. We will be transformed back into that light, back into that consciousness. And we have a scientific cosmology that really elegantly lays all that out for us in ways that we don't yet see, but are so beautiful. So I really love that. I really love the fact that we can look at these things and find out the truth and get to the core of what's really going on. Sacred geometry, of course, appearing in many, many different interesting teachings that all seem to correlate with the arrival of angelic beings. They come here, they give us mystery schools. I believe that originally the foundation of Freemasonry was positive. It might have gotten distorted, but they were basing it off of ancient deliveries that came to us from celestial beings. And the Masonic G is for geometry. You got a square and compass. They're drawing geometry with the square and compass. Why? Because sacred geometry, the universe is built according to order and precision. And it's a very fascinating discussion that goes very, very deep, ties in the Star of David, ties in all this cool stuff. And I'm just really happy that you guys are here, happy that you're sharing this time with me. We're at 2,500 concurrent viewers. That's great. We're an hour and a half in. And again, thank you for the super chats. I really appreciate those as well. Talk about archons a little bit, please, says Tracy always rocks. Well, yeah, so the universe is light and the universe is also shadow. And it wouldn't make any sense if the universe was only a positive. In fact, the negative was created to allow the positive to grow and to evolve. That's one of the basic philosophy teachings that's in the Law of One. Negativity inspires movement, growth, learning, and healing. And so there was a veil created between the conscious and the superconscious mind that brings us to this higher level where we are now able to ultimately become the light by seeking something that's not a part of us that we have to get back. If we had it the whole time, if we didn't have a veiling, then we wouldn't be able to really appreciate who we are, what we are. We'd get lost. The veiling is what keeps us from having full cosmic consciousness, from remembering and knowing that we are one with the infinite creation. And yeah, so I love it when David talks about science. You are so brave. Much love and protection always, says Nasha, non-native. All right, Natasha, non-native. Appreciate that. So yeah, I mean, my goal is to try to bring you guys into some type of higher conception of yourselves where you move beyond any type of limited perspective and you see, hey, you know what? There's a lot more going on about being human than I thought. There's a lot more going on with the world than I thought. This is an illusion. This is a hologram. And Jesus is one of those who broke the hologram. The spiritual knowledge of the Star of David breaks the hologram. This idea that the geometry created the universe, man, it is epic. And it really, really transforms so much about who we are and what we know. I just can never get enough of it. Man, I love it. So again, when you understand that you are the light, when you understand this cosmic cosmology, you now can recognize, wait a minute, space and time are all emanations of one form. That one of the greatest scientists, Sir Roger Penrose, came up with this on his own. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Nima Arkani Hamed solved all the math. It's basically now a scientific fact that the universe, it's not even basically, it is a scientific fact that the universe is an emanation of one form. Why? Because all the different things we see in quantum mechanics, they can all be solved off of that original photon, that original particle of light that created the universe, that is sacred geometry, which is vibration. I mean, it's complicated, and I showed you the physics. I showed you how the water vibrates in these beautiful geometric patterns. All those patterns is sand. The sand particles arrange into that geometry. They look beautiful. It changes everything. It's one of the fundamental things I love to keep coming back to because it's such an important part of my work. So then what we have is, yes, there are archons, there are negative beings, but there are also positive beings, and we have both. And those positive beings did not abandon us. They did not leave us. We've never been abandoned. We've never been left alone. They've been here the whole time. And that's, again, a really, really cool thing. The Americans' belief in UFOs is at 56%. I said this about a month ago, but I think it's worthy of repetition once again. 56% say that they definitely or probably exist. And this is before we get disclosure, before they actually do tell us the truth. Slightly lower on Bigfoot and Chupacabra especially. But again, according to YouGov, 56% of Americans say that extraterrestrials definitely or probably exist. That makes this far more plausible in the public mind than either Bigfoot or Chupacabra. That is a majority. So anybody who's trying to say, oh, David's a grifter, snake oil, da-da-da, nobody believes this, ha, 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 it's ridiculous. No, it's the majority. And so roughly half Americans believe that these beings are visiting our planet. And again, about a third say that the sightings are evidence of alien spacecraft. Others attribute them to natural phenomena, secret military technology, or optical illusions. Demographic differences are notable. Younger Americans more likely to believe in this than older cohorts. Men tend to express higher levels of belief than women. And again, as skepticism remains, the idea that intelligent life exists somewhere beyond Earth is now a mainstream view in the United States. So these beings seem to keep telling us about sacred geometry. They seem to keep wanting us to be loving and peaceful and positive. At least the good ones do. And at the same time, you know, that knowledge, when we realize that we're not alone, when we know these beings exist, it's going to change everything in very profound ways. It's going to shake things up. So we are getting some kinetic energy, some disruptive energy as we move towards disclosure. It's not always fun. It's not always nice. Bad things can happen. And we have had certain potential whistleblowers, potential UFO whistleblowers disappearing. This all started, or well, it didn't start then, but it kicked up a notch after the 19th of February when our president ordered the release of all UFO-related files for disclosure, as I've said before. And this is where it says that we will begin. He's going to direct the Secretary of War, other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, and unidentified flying objects, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America. So again, people in my family, oh, I can't stand him, whatever. Okay, I'll hold space for that conversation to a degree. But if this comes true, if this actually happens, man, then wow, I'm so excited. And then this is where we've been talking about, a lot of other podcasters and people have been talking about this extensively. I really haven't, but I wanted to bring this in, that one of the gatekeepers, one of the guys who really had a lot of this information, vanished in very suspicious circumstances 8 days after the disclosure came out. And so again, this finally did show up just last Wednesday on this particular site I keep going to, ZH. He vanishes after the full disclosure order. And we're also seeing that intel agencies are thwarting probes into these various missing scientists. So here it is. The president's order to release every UFO and UAP file appears to have triggered a wave of vanishings and deaths among the very insiders who may have been guarding these secrets, maybe not all of them, but now Congress is being actively blocked from investigating. They're trying to investigate and it's not working. Well, this is business as usual, isn't it? I mean, this is what just always seems to happen. The general is retired Major General William Neal McCaslin, former commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory at the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is notoriously connected in Ohio. He's notoriously connected to classic UFO cover-up stuff, the crash disks, retrievals, back engineering. Wright-Patterson is one of the defining bases that this is all seemingly coming from. Now, this is where it gets really sinister sounding. He walked out of his Albuquerque home on February 27th with only hiking boots, a wallet, and a revolver. No phone, no glasses, and no trace since. So, well, if he had a revolver and he didn't bring anything else, that implies one potential outcome, which is very sad, very tragic. He didn't bring his phone, he didn't bring his wallet, didn't bring any other personal devices that he would have had, and he has disappeared. So it's entirely possible that he was driven to something and that, nobody can find him because he went to a secluded area before whatever happened. But how did he get driven there, and why did this happen only 8 days after the disclosure order? What was being done here? What happened? In addition, a rocket scientist tied to the general has also reportedly disappeared under very similar circumstances. So this is the tweet they brought up from Mario here. A rocket scientist tied to a missing Air Force general with alleged UFO links has reportedly disappeared under similar circumstances. At least 6 people, another source says 5, connected to the same basic U.S. Defense Research Network are now dead or missing within a year. I'm not sure if it's the same network or not. But the cases include Monica Jacinto Riza, an aerospace engineer linked to next-gen rocket tech. Retired Air Force General William McCaslin also disappeared 8 months before under similar circumstances. Yeah, that's a pattern people are definitely going to question. Well, I'm skeptical about this, to be honest with you. I want to see, who are these people? Did they disappear after the order was made or before? Or what is it? So anyway, let's go back to the New York Post, because she was missing back in June 2025. Obviously, that's before this order was ever made by like a year, more than a year. Well, no, not quite a year. So here's the New York Post. A U.S. rocket scientist vanished without a trace in a Los Angeles hike 8 months before retired Air Force General William McCaslin disappeared under eerily similar circumstances. The two actually had a close personal, professional connection. That's where it gets weird. Monica Reza went missing on the morning of June 22nd, 25 in the Angeles National Forest while hiking with 2 experienced companions who were exploring the popular Mount Waterman Trail, according to a Facebook page dedicated to finding her. So this is the special bulletin from Los Angeles County Sheriff about this missing woman. And, it says 60 years old, female, 4'11". Last seen hiking on June 22nd at 9:10 a.m., 6001 Trailhead Avenue, Angeles Crest Highway. There's concern for her well-being. Volunteers and authorities searched the area for months using helicopters, radar, droves of hikers, and dogs, but have found no trace of Reza, 60, who is still considered a missing person, according to Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Well, she may not actually be deceased. She may have been snatched up into some kind of underground facility, because apparently in national parks, they have underground, there's hatches that open up that take you underground. And so if somebody anticipated the disclosure was going to happen, then maybe McCaslin was being threatened, maybe he was driven to insanity, maybe she was snatched up into an underground facility. But again, if that's what happened, then she might still be alive. She might have just been abducted and taken through some place that it would just look like it's part of the ground. You wouldn't see what it was. I heard about this from Pete Peterson, by the way. And we have David Paulides with, Missing 411, other things he's done where he's talked about these national parks and all the different weird vanishings that occur when people are walking in these areas. I mean, it's It's a real thing, man. This is not a joke. And it keeps on happening. So Scott says, I'm glad to be listening, but will not be in the chat. Okay, well, thank you for being here. Protection from who? From extraterrestrials, other insiders? Well, yeah. I don't think it's actually extraterrestrials as much as it's our own guys in these underground facilities. And they don't want this legacy program, the UFO reverse engineering, to come out. But they also apparently do work with extraterrestrials. So these are joint human ET bases in some cases. And again, they could pull you in there and you wouldn't know where you went or what was happening. You would just disappear. And then you get into a whole new life. And now they recruit you and you work underground for the rest of your life. You never get to see the surface again. I was told this by various insiders like Dr. Pete Peterson, that this actually is done. So it's a very strange thing that there's this kind of contentious war over disclosure, and that she was working with McCaslin and they both disappeared while they were hiking. Riza used the last name Jacinto in her wildly successful professional career as a materials scientist at Aerojet Rocketdyne, funded for years by NASA, the Air Force Research Laboratory. Ah, okay. Okay. That's what everybody's so worried about. These two main insiders are the ones that everybody's the most focused on. Her patented nickel-based superalloy that she calls Mondalloy brought her into the orbit of McCaslin, who oversaw the Air Force group that funded research in the early 2000s into advanced materials needed for reusable space vehicles and other types of technology. Okay. Reusable space vehicles is code for flying saucer reverse engineered technology. She had a super alloy that would apparently do things that are very important. And never go to a national park alone. Well, she wasn't alone. She had friends with her. They were right ahead of her. And she just suddenly disappeared. So again, apparently they do have these hatches that they can yank you into. They can just grab you and pull you into the hatch, and you might hear the slamming noise. What David Paulides' data talks about, sometimes you hear the sound of the hatch, but people don't really know what it is. And it's funny, I just had an epiphany about God being light, that we are becoming the light. I started adding you my prayers, and then you put out a video called Becoming the Light, says Allison. That's really cool. Is Dr. Peterson still among us? No. No, he's not, which is very sad. Three Eye Atlas was made of nickel. Yeah, I mean, there's exotic alloys are one of the keys to getting anti-gravity, to getting gravitational shielding, to getting exotic propulsion, all these different kinds of things. So there again, she is, whoops. I'll go back to that because I clicked a little bit too far behind here. So again, her patented super alloy brought her into the orbit of McCaslin. So this alloy may very well have been something that was used for these exotic groundbreaking technologies. And therefore, she might have been in a position. I mean, how did she come up with the alloy, right? Where did this come from? How did she get the thing? Did she get access to crash technology? Was she going to come forward? Did she get silenced because they saw that maybe she and McCaslin were getting ready to come forward and talk about this? It's entirely possible. So here's a picture of her in the lab. Maybe that's her alloy in the box. We don't really know. And Aerojet Rocketdyne achieved a major milestone in rocket engine technologies in 2016 based upon her alloy, according to an Air Force press release. So yes, whatever she got, she might have, again, reverse engineered it. Maybe Mondalloy was her own thing that she came up with from back engineering this extraterrestrial technology. That could be, in which case they definitely wanted to keep her silenced. Aerojet Rocketdyne sold in 2023 for a whopping $4.7 billion to the military defense contractor L3 Technologies. Isn't that interesting? So that's $5 billion almost. That's no small chump change. And then when we go back to the other article that we were seeing, they linked to this Newsmax post. Representative Tim Burchett says that some intelligence agencies have thwarted his attempts to find out what happened to several prominent scientists and researchers in the U.S. who reportedly died or went missing over the past year. So that's interesting. He actually is trying to find out. He's trying to do a congressional investigation. He wants to find, why are these different people missing? What is the connection between them? And he was, as it says right here, thwarted. The word used is thwarted. So he wasn't allowed to do it. So then this actually says that McCaslin was an advisor to Tom DeLonge. Oh, and that was the guy that was working on Disclosure from the lead singer of Blink-182. McCaslin was Tom DeLonge's advisor. Why is he silent? Well, maybe he was silenced. And again, if he leaves the house with nothing but a weapon, then he goes missing. Well, that's a very tragic thing. You can kind of connect the dots there. But anyway, where are the other 6 scientists? Well, Daily Mail came out with 5. And I'm not really sure if they're connected or if this is maybe just media fear-mongering. So I just wanted to dig into this and find out, okay, how connected are they? So this is somebody else who put this up on X. 3 dead, 2 missing, disappearing scientists. And so 3 of them are deceased that we know of. Laurello, Grillmare, and Thomas, working in complementary advanced technology fields of fusion energy, exoplanets, and chemical biology. 2 missing individuals, McCaslin and Reza, sharing a direct professional connection through advanced aerospace materials work at the Air Force Research Laboratory, with McCaslin's command ties to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and UFO-related speculation. Congressman Tim Burchett flagging the overall pattern as a potential national security concern. Now, the other 3 scientists who have been proven to be deceased, we don't have any direct linkage to these other 2. So to say that they're all interconnected is a bit of a stretch. And again, there's lots of scientists working on lots of stuff, and people do die. So I'm not convinced that this is all what they say it is, but let's unpack this a little bit more. One of the names that they're all putting together is Nuno Gomez Loureiro, and he was taken out at home by a former classmate on December 15th, and the next day he was lost in the hospital after this happened. Very, very tragic event. His area of concentration was on plasma physics and fusion energy. He was the director of the MIT Plasma Science and Fusion Center, with research focusing on plasma turbulence, fusion reactors, neutron star phenomena as potential sources of unlimited clean energy, speculating that he had links to advanced propulsion concepts. Remember, the other lady, Jacinto, she was working on advanced alloys that could be led to propulsion. So there you have it. So now, okay, MIT Plasma Science Fusion Center, could this just be a random disappearance? Yes, but it is weird that the intelligence agencies did not want him probing these connections. That is strange. Carl Grillmare, age 67 astrophysicist, was lost on the front porch of his home in Llano, California around 6 a.m. on February 16th. 29-year-old local suspect was charged with this. Here he is. This is Carl Grillmare, astrophysicist, and in his case, he focused on exoplanets, galactic astronomy, dark matter, stellar streams at Caltech, Infrared Processing Analysis Center. Key contributor to the first detection of water molecules in our atmosphere from distant exoplanets, work pointing to potential signs of life 160 light years away. So, again, Caltech, is that connected? Is it absolutely a thing that these guys were going to disclose? No. We don't really know that, but it is tragic, and we certainly mourn his loss. And this was getting closer to the time that the disclosure would occur. The next one is Jason Thomas, age 45, a biochemist, chemical biologist. He walked away, this is similar to the other people, right? He walked away and was reported missing the next day. He was finally found in Lake Quannapowitt on March 17th, 2026. They did find his remains. His area of concentration was that he was the assistant director of chemical biology at Novartis, focusing on using chemistry and biology to discover new drugs and medicines, including potential treatments for cancer. Novartis holding U.S. Department of Defense contracts. Then, of course, we have the Major General Neil McCaslin. He was left his Albuquerque, New Mexico home February 27th, 8 days after the disclosure announcement. He did not take his phone, his wearable devices, or his prescription glasses behind, but took his hiking boots and then this other thing. So you can, again, connect the dots, what probably happened. He's still missing, extensive searches, but nothing has ever been recovered. Doesn't mean that he isn't out there somewhere. So again, the area of concentration, this is where it really gets interesting, because Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Air Force Research Laboratory, advanced aerospace programs, exotic material developments, including Mondaloy, quantum technologies, satellite orbits, directed energy, particle beam weapons, and reported secret UFO UAP research, including possibly on the Roswell debris. So yeah, he's definitely, this is the most suspicious one out of all of them by far, and that alone could be why any intelligence group would say, we don't really want this to happen. We don't really want you guys investigating this. We're not interested in this at all. Makes sense, doesn't it? Now that we're looking at how the dots connect. Then again, we have Monica Reza Jacinto, aerospace engineer, materials scientist, age 60, June 22nd, 2025, so that's a long time ago, in the Mount Waterman Trail, 30 feet behind her companion. She was last seen smiling and waving. And then boom, she just disappeared. Like, what the hell? And nobody knows where she is. She just totally disappeared. Well, yeah, in the Angeles National Forest. And remember, David Paulides says, do not go in the national forest because, you know, these can be very dangerous places to go. Wow. She's still missing, never recovered despite months of searches with helicopters, dogs, radar, and FLIR. Brief unauthorized green burial memorial appeared online days later but was removed. What's that all about? We'll see that in a second. So again, she was the lead developer of this high-performance nickel-based superalloy for advanced rocket engines and propulsion systems called Mondaloy. She served as the director of the materials processing group at JPL, previously funded through AFRL under McCaslin. So they are directly connected. So these two disappearances were the same. They're directly connected. Lots and lots of people have done shows on this. I hadn't so far. But then this is the Daily Mail article where you're actually seeing 5 missing scientists sending a chill across America. 3 of them are known to be dead. And the troubling link is now under scrutiny. That's where the intelligence agencies don't want us to know about this. I'm just going to read this again because this is a little piece of it that is extra that I didn't already have, which is that he became associated with UFO topics after the 2016 WikiLeaks emails from you-know-who. Once that came out, he was in there. He was directly involved in this topic. In the emails, Tom DeLonge, founder of Blink-182 and To the Stars Academy, referenced McCaslin multiple times and said that McCaslin had been advising him on UFO disclosure matters and helped assemble an advisory team. Well, there you go. He's directly connected to that. The general had previously led the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson, rumored to hold extraterrestrial debris from the 1947 Roswell UFO crash. So he's definitely involved in it. Reza was the co-inventor of the special metal called Mondaloy, was serving as a director of materials processing group at JPL when she vanished without a trace last summer. Conspiracy theorists have noted that an online memorial claiming she was dead appeared on a website called Find a Grave just 4 days into the search for her. The page has mysteriously been taken down after alleging that she was given a quote-unquote green burial, meaning that the body would have needed to be found, placed in a biodegradable coffin, and then put straight into the earth. Investigators with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department have not announced the discovery of any remains, so the case remains unsolved. So this is very, very weird stuff here. And again, I don't think that any of the negative really cares about us talking about this. In fact, in some ways they like it because it puts a threat out there. It creates this idea of, oh, if you snitches get stitches, if you're going to speak out, you're going to be hurt. And again, I do believe that's true. Anyway, this is something that we can all be grateful for, that we've got the opportunity to be together, that I'm still here, that even though I do this work, that there is a lot of things out there that are really, seen by the masses to be truthful. And so the truth is going to come out. It's very sad that some losses occur along the way. We can't really stop that or control that. Creative Nature Girl says, I don't think this is coincidence. It's pretty scary. Someone doesn't want anything to come out. The enemy loves it when you're scared. Yeah, I'm not scared, but I'm also aware that, yeah, the risks are real. You look at what happened to General McCaslin. Why would he leave the house like that? Why would he end up disappearing? And what was the nature of him wanting to have what he brought with him? And, there's different interpretations, but there's not too many. It's either one or the other. You either want to protect himself or something else. It's very, very sad, very tragic stuff. Again, my point, you cannot trust the government. Well, it shows that the disclosure battle is real. It shows that there's real high stakes involved in this, and the intelligence community doesn't want us knowing about it. However, certain amounts of tours are now already being done. Representative Eric Burleson has already been allowed to tour at least one facility. This was from Insider Paper, just came out yesterday. This was really right before my show, perfect timing, right before Palm Sunday. And it says here that he's already toured one classified installation and hopes to visit at least 4 more around the country linked to UAP crash retrieval programs. New, a Missouri congressman is on an out-of-this-world mission. Of course, they got to use funny euphemisms, right? To expose the UFO information he believes might be stored in military bases across the U.S. and beyond. New York Post. Well, there you have it. So let's go back to the New York Post. Let's find out what they said here. Beverly Adams says she donated $50. Thank you very much, Beverly. She says, this is nothing new. It's just becoming more obvious. We lost 120 researchers, scientists, professors, etc., figuring out cancer, autism in 2015 alone, and other things. It's an ongoing underground war. Ask me about Dr. Boyd Haley from University of Kentucky someday. Thank you very much, Beverly. Appreciate it. The extraterrestrials need to land and stop all this nonsense. Well, they can't really do that, but the point is there is a struggle, there is an ongoing struggle going on as we're working to become the light, as we're working through this ascension process. The stakes are real, the stakes are high, and you're seeing that right here. So let's read the New York Post article. Here it is. Skeptical Missouri congressman on a mission to crack open America's secret UFO bases like a safe. Like safe cracking is kind of how they're implying that. Okay, here we go. Representative Eric Burleson, Republican from Missouri, has already toured one classified installation, hopes to visit at least 4 more around the country linked to unidentified anomalous phenomena crash retrieval programs. The former financial analyst and Missouri state legislator was first sworn into Congress in 2023 and became invested in the issue after Air Force whistleblower David Grush testified under oath that the U.S. government has secretly retrieved non-human craft and biological material for decades. Right, so that blew him away when he learned about that. The former financial analyst in Missouri state legislature was first sworn into Congress. Oh, sorry, that's a double. He says, I'm from Missouri, you're going to have to show me, says Representative Eric Burleson, of his tour of secretive military bases that supposedly hold UFO materials. The 49-year-old followed the trail of information from UFO whistleblowers and now finds himself on a DOW-organized tour of secret military bases long rumored to be associated with UFO crash materials. I've been to one base, he said, of a recent trip, but declining to name the location. Could it have been Wright-Patterson? Well, it's entirely possible that that's what it was. It could have been maybe Area 51. We don't really know. But then they go on to say that there was nothing there anymore. So he didn't really see anything. They just showed him this is where this stuff used to be done. But he still hasn't gotten the real goods yet. That's kind of sad, but that's where we're at. They were very open on this first tour, he says. Even said that this was kind of a test because they'd never really done this before. So at least we're getting some kind of progress, which is really cool. An unofficial, informal request to White House aid in 2025 resulted in Burleson being granted permission from the DOW to go on the search of secured locations like this. That location was a low-hanging fruit location. I knew that there wasn't any activity currently happening, but what I wanted to do was to get eyes on the location so that I could get context for the narrative, he said, adding, just because there's not an object there anymore doesn't mean that the facilities don't exist. Right, so there was nothing there, but he got to get context from that narrative anyway. 4 other secretive U.S. military bases are on his list, and he acknowledged that federal employees very well could be moving things, knowing that I'm coming on specific dates. Isn't that frustrating? One of the reported bases is on foreign soil and is reportedly built around an alien craft so enormous that it cannot be moved. We've heard that it might be Korea, South Korea. We're not really sure, but that is really cool that rumor that keeps circulating is growing and growing. And that, could you imagine like a huge mothership that you actually get to see by going inside this facility and just walk all over it? That would be incredible. So yeah, it's really, really cool. Thank you guys for all the comments. I'm just reading what you're saying here. So Independence Day looks like the intersection of 3i Atlas and our current disclosure movement. I mean, yeah, there could be some type of blue beam thing. That is entirely possible that could happen. But again, crashed mothership. Wow. That's really cool that that's now being validated. 4 other secretive U.S. military bases are on his list, and he acknowledged that, well, yeah, we already had that one. Okay, so, sorry, duplicated. But again, so enormous that it can't be moved. The base is built all around it. I think it had been a crash that had been there for quite some time. Nothing new, but I don't know how long. Plans to visit that undisclosed location are currently on hold. He says, I want more evidence before I go on a wild goose chase in another country, he said. Okay, well, man, I got enough evidence right now. I'd be like, dude, if there's a mothership under there and you guys can take me to go see it, put me on the next flight. I want to go out. I want to get a look at this guy right now. Absolutely 100%. That would be very, very cool. So a lot of you guys mentioned this next thing, which is the vice president bringing up the demonic element. JD saying aliens are just demons in disguise and they're causing mischief around our planet. This was on the Benny Show. He says, I don't think they're aliens. I think they're demons. And this is something that I kind of brought into the zeitgeist here. Found this one on social media. It circulates a lot. Iwas or Lam, channeled by Crowley in 1904. They call us angels and demons today, but tomorrow they will call us something else. I don't know if that's really a quote or not. Maybe it's, I'm not sure if that's really a real quote, but a drawing of this Iwas or Lam being that was brought through on April 8th, 9th, and 10th in 1904. So yes, that's very interesting. And there's a whole big story to this that I have gone through it. In fact, I believe people were never really talking about this before I brought it out there. And so again, Crowley being responsible for many, many modern traditions, highly revered by pop music, for example. And the belief is that he brought in a whole lot of understandings from this being who taught him how to do various practices and get results, as I've said before. So how fascinating that something that I talked about that was, brought out to the public about, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago now, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I guess it was back in late 2021 that I first introduced this element. And I don't think anybody ever talked about it before. That Colored by Numbers, thank you very much for the donation, that we would then have the Vice President of the United States talking about this demonic connection. It's very, very interesting, very strange. So here is actually USA Today covering the story. And again, they're not going to be very sympathetic. But asked by the podcaster Benny about releasing so-called UFO files, the Vice President veered into his belief that rather than visitors from another planet, it is supernatural forces at play. I don't think they're aliens. I think they're demons, he said in a March 27th episode. The Christian understanding is that there's a lot of good out there, but there's also evil out there. And then he actually says, I think that one of the devil's great tricks is to convince people he never existed. Well, this is the Winston Churchill quote, which again, I don't know if anybody else was talking about this before I brought it out. Another quote from my work, so I feel honored by that. And I'm pretty happy about it, honestly, that he said that. But let's go back and look at that middle sentence there. The Christian understanding is that there's a lot of good out there, but there's also evil out there. So somebody said he's trying to say that all the UFOs are demons. That is not what he said. He clearly describes the Christian understanding there's a lot of good out there as well. That's very important. And then, as we read The Hill, he says, every great world religion, including Christianity, the one I believe in, has understood that there are weird things out there, and there are things that are very difficult to explain. So yes, Christianity has weird things out there. That would imply angelic beings, which is part of the story. And I naturally go, when I hear about extranatural phenomena, the Christian understanding that, there's a lot of good out there, but there's also some evil out there. So again, that is not the same as the way people are now spinning it, that he said all extraterrestrials are demons. That is not what he said. The White House has registered the domain names alien.gov and aliens.gov earlier this month, drawing speculation that information could be released soon. So again, there's a lot of good out there, he says, but there's also some evil out there. And he quoted Winston Churchill. This is one of my old slides, where the quote was, "The devil's great power is to make us believe that he does not exist." And that's exactly what he said. Vice President said that. So here's another example. This one, again, coming from People magazine. He says, "It's funny, when I came in, I was obsessed with the UFO files. And then you start getting really busy worrying about the economy, national security, and things like that." He continued, "But I've still got 3 more years as vice president. I will get to the bottom of the UFO files." Despite his admitted obsession with UFOs, he told Johnson he has not peaked at Area 51, referring to rumors about a classified U.S. Air Force facility in the Nevada desert, or looked into other UFO-related conspiracy theories, but vowed that he will, quote-unquote, get to the bottom of it. He says, "I have not been able to spend enough time on this to really understand it, but I am going to. Trust me, I am obsessed with this," he said. "I've already had a couple of times where I'm like, all right, we're going to Area 51, we're going out to New Mexico, we're going to sort of get to the bottom of this, and then the timing of the trip didn't work out." Well, Burleson's already doing it. "But trust me, anybody who's curious about this, I'm more curious than anybody," he continued. "And I've got 3 years of the very tippy top of the classification. I am going to get to the bottom of it." There you go. So this is actually very inspiring and very cool. It's very cool that he was able to do that. And again, we want to remember that there is a whole angelic component to the UFO reality. So let's actually, we're going to talk about that a little bit. So again, there's a lot of stuff in the Bible that really ties in with the angelic UFO reality. But actually, I think at this point, we're just going to touch on this a little bit, and then we're going to go into our Book of Enoch stuff, because we're really running out of time here pretty fast. In fact, yes, let's save this for next week, and we will go right into the Book of Enoch, because I think by the time we're through with all that, we're going to be out of time. So let's do that. All right. That way, we'll divide this up into 2 shows. Okie dokie. I think it's the right move. Let me just put this one thing in here. So yes, and we'll talk about it next week. My contention is that there's biblical artwork and all kinds of stuff that shows that UFOs and ETs are angelic in nature, but there's also the negative side. We're not going to obsess on that too much. This week's show is about becoming the light, the message of the positive beings, and I think it's a very important message for us. So let's talk about the Book of Enoch. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do that is that this is something that all of the disclosure that we're getting now, they keep telling us, focus on this concept, focus on the Book of Enoch. This is a very, very important thing. And there's a lot of wisdom in that. The idea that the Book of Enoch is some type of supernatural document, and it really does talk about ascension in some very amazing ways that are really pretty exciting, pretty cool. So anyway, Miranda Anderson says, "It's unfortunate the officials who don't talk to us have been studying this for years. They have to start at the beginning. It's going to get them killed. They all have to come together." Well, hopefully there's enough people that'll be able to talk about this that they won't be threatened and intimidated like this. But you better believe that intimidation works, and people get nervous and they don't want to talk anymore. And so being a whistleblower does not extend your life very well, to say it mildly. And I know that feeling, believe me. Okay, so let's dig into this Book of Enoch thing. Now, it is believed that this book is from remote antiquity all the way back to the time of Moses, around the time of Genesis. The authors of this book actually believe something different. Beverly Adams, thank you for the donation, talking about her talk's book, The Keys of Enoch. David McDowell says, I wish you the best, let you know how much I appreciate your hard work and due diligence, sending many blessings and good vibes, especially for you. Be safe. All right. So, we're going to read from the actual introduction of the 1917 edition that is on, as you can see here, sacredtext.com, and by R.H. Charles, and that probably was a woman. And, you know, back in those days, 1917, a female scholar would not be respected because of sexism. They weren't even allowed to vote up until a certain point, women's suffrage, right? So R is probably like Rachel or something like that. I believe it's probably a woman because, again, normally that's what women would do so that they didn't get discriminated against back in those days. As the Book of Enoch is in some respects the most notable extant apocalyptic work outside the canonical scriptures, it will not be inappropriate to offer a few remarks here on this apocalyptic literature in general, she says. We study the apocalypses to learn how our spiritual ancestors hoped again that God would make everything right in the end, and that we, their children, are here today studying them is an indication that their hope was not wholly unfounded. Hope is indeed the main underlying motive power which prompted the writers of the apocalypses. And this hope is the more intensive and ardent in that it shines forth from a background which is dark with despair. Doesn't that sound, I mean, think about it, 1917, she's writing it during World War I, and here we are in another very scary war now. So it's very appropriately timed. For the apocalyptists despaired of the world in which they lived, a world in which the godly were of no account, while the wicked seemed too often triumphant and prosperous. Yeah, doesn't that sound familiar? But we're working through all this right now. Same thing's happening now. With evil everywhere around, the apocalyptists saw no hope for the world as it was. For such a world there was no remedy, only destruction. If the good were ever to triumph, it must be in a new world. Well, that's her opinion of the idea that, oh, if they're prognosticating apocalypse, it's because they don't think that there's any way the world could be saved. Well, no, I believe we're going to have a non-catastrophic ascension. The solar flash is not going to destroy anything. Mayan Mountain says, I saw the Book of Enoch at the Denver Museum in 2017. It made me feel woozy, which only intensified as I got closer to it. It felt very powerful. Very interesting. Thank you for that. Furthermore, there are 3 books of Enoch. Only one is canon to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. That's right. You are absolutely right. We're not going to get into all that today. So, despairing therefore of the world around them, the apocalyptists centered their hope upon a world to come where the righteous would come to their own and evil would find no place. Very interesting, huh? So, again, I don't believe the world needs to be destroyed for us to get to the new world. We do not need to have an apocalypse. We do not need to have a disaster. But we are going through necessary changes right now, necessary upheavals that will eventually bring us back to a higher civilization. I do believe that. It is this thought which underlies the opening words of the Book of Enoch. The words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and the righteous, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. Yeah, I mean, that's the concept as it says in the Bible, you know, the book of Matthew 13, the harvest, the weeds will be plucked out from the wheat one by one, gathered into bundles and burned in my barn. And the weeds appear to refer to those who are doing negativity. Now, does it literally mean that they're going to be burned? No. But what we're seeing is, again, it's similar to Zoroastrian prophecy. The negative forces on earth have to be gradually worked away. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens in stages here and there. But I do think that there is a bigger reveal coming. Obviously, I think this is all working up to something. I do believe in the alliance. I do believe they're going to have something for us. So this thought underlies those opening words. Nowhere in this book is the essence of this hope more beautifully expressed than in a short metrical piece in the first chapter. And what does it say? But with the righteous, he, God, will make peace and will protect the elect, and mercy shall be upon them, and they shall all belong to God. They shall all be prospered, and they shall all be blessed. It's really a beautiful passage. and he will help them all, and light shall appear unto them, and he will make peace with them. 1 Enoch I8. There you go. So that's the first chapter, verse up to 8, 1 through 8. So yeah, this is a very beautiful prophecy. It's the core of what we talk about. It's the core of what Jesus' ascension apparently was paving the way for. This Book of Enoch type of thing is the greater revelation that we're going to, where the whole planet goes through some type of ascension process, some type of initiation process, which is awesome. And again, thank you guys for the super chats. We've had a pretty good day here. Let's keep going. These references are only made with a view to comforting the oppressed and afflicted with the thought that even the most mighty of earthly powers are shortly to be overthrown by the advent of a new and glorious era, where every injustice and all the incongruities of life will be done away with. So that is a big promise. It's a really great promise because it shows us, hey, it's not going to stay like this forever. It's not going to be upsetting forever. Things are going to change. The authors conceive of otherworldly forces coming into play in the reconstitution of things and of society generally. And since these are otherworldly forces, the supernatural plays a great part in the apocalyptic literature. So the otherworldly forces, again, coming into play, this, I believe, is the angelic, and they talk about this in the book, the extraterrestrial component. And again, I believe these beings are still here now. And even Vance is saying, you know, there's a lot of good, but there's also some evil. And it's this battle that we've been seeing since the time of ancient writings. Nothing has really changed here. Many, many secrets of Enoch. That's right. This supernatural coloring will often strike the reader of this literature as fantastic and at times bizarre. But this should not be permitted to obscure the reality which often lies behind these weird shadows. All these things, according to the apocalyptists, were divine secrets hidden from the beginning of the world, but revealed to God-fearing men and women to whom was accorded the faculty of peering into the hidden things of God and of understanding them. Upon these men and women were laid the privilege and the duty of revealing divine secrets to others, hence their name of apocalyptists or revealers. Now, again, this is a very prosaic view of what's going on here. It doesn't really get into the idea that they were receiving divine revelations, divine channeled teachings that are accurate. I believe this is accurate, and again, it's good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for me. Jesus quotes from the Book of Enoch. Jesus actually cites this at least as partially credible because he would quote from it. And so the traditional belief is that it came in right around the same time as the Book of Genesis. The Ethiopian Bible, again, has it as canonical, and it really does give you one of the most shocking prophecies of the so-called solar flash that we've ever seen. I've done some of these slides before, but I added a lot more to it this time, so this really is interesting, and you know, this is what disclosure is ultimately leading us to. I don't think it's going to destroy the world. I think it's going to transform the world and create this activation where we do become the light. So again, this is what they already quoted from in the introduction. The words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and righteous, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. Again, this is like the parable of the harvest, plucking out the weeds from among the wheat. And then the righteous shall shine like the sun. That's what Jesus said. He took up his parable and said, Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God, saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angels showed me. And from them I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw. It was not for this generation, but for a remote one, which is yet to come. That's us. This vision is for our generation. Again, remember, the people in the Alliance are saying, like Representative Anna Paulina Luna, they're saying, go read the Book of Enoch. So this is one of the leads they've given us, they want us to follow up on. So I'm actually just doing the homework that we were already given, where they told us they want us to study this stuff. So this is now chapter 80, verse 2. So this is a different one of the books. But it's really fascinating because it totally relates to earth changes. Where did they get this from? How did they know the earth was going to go into turmoil? Well, now we know because it is. In the days of the sinners, the years shall be shortened, and their seed shall be tardy on their lands and fields, and all things on the earth shall alter, and shall not appear in their time, and the rain shall be kept back, and the heaven shall withhold it. Well, this is going on right now. The rain is being withheld in the whole western side of the United States. We've got all these droughts happening. We've got the weather today is a very, very warm day compared to what the normal temperatures would normally be during this time of the year. So, wow, there it is in the Book of Enoch. That's pretty shocking. And the rain shall be kept back, and the heaven shall withhold it. And in those times the fruits of the earth shall be backward, and shall not grow in their time. And the fruits of the trees shall be withheld in their time. This is all very similar to what we know. And the moon shall alter her order, and not appear at her time. Well, dude, I mean, like, yeah, all these things are exactly what we're seeing. All these things are exactly what is happening now. It's pretty shocking, isn't it? And lots of things are going on here. So anyway, we're happy that we've got the opportunity to grow with each other, and we're happy that we can read from this ancient scripture that has so much wisdom in it. It's really fascinating. So yeah, this is the prophecy that is now just basically science, right? The earth gets all weird, the weather gets all weird, the solar activity, and then the moon altering her order, not appearing in her time. That one hasn't actually happened yet. That's more the idea of the so-called pole shift, which again is the apocalyptic version of Ascension, which I don't think is going to happen. I think we've been spared that because we've done enough homework, we've done the right things, that we're not going to have to go through that. And in those days the sun shall be seen, and shall journey in the evening on the extremity of the great chariot in the west. Wait for it, here it comes. And shall shine more brightly than accords with the order of light. Wow, that is the prophecy of the solar flash, perfectly realized. And many chiefs of the stars shall transgress their prescribed order. They shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear at the seasons that were prescribed to them. Well, again, the main line here is the sun shining more brightly than accords with the order of light. That is the idea that as a solar flash happens, that there's also a pole shift. Again, it appears that that's not going to happen. It appears from what Michael said in my work that there will be protection around us, just like in 2012, there was a solar flash next door to our binary companion, Proxima Centauri, but it didn't happen here. And so, yep, I agree with David. We have been spared that. Yep, it's a non-catastrophic ascension. That's what's so beautiful. We learned the lessons. We learned from Jesus. We're being spared the catastrophic ascension, but at some point there probably will be some type of solar event anyway. And it says here, the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them. And they shall be altered from all of their ways. Yea, they shall err and take them to be gods. That's right. So we worship the wrong people. We're not seeing what really needs to be done here. We're not getting the deeper message. The whole order of the stars shall be concealed. It's very interesting. The Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling. Now we're back in Book 1, Chapter 3, verse 3, rather. The Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread upon the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and appear in the strength of his might from the heaven of heavens. So this is definitely some type of second coming of Christ prophecy. It's really exciting because, I mean, some people might not want it, but I certainly would love to see this. And it's probably going to be a bunch of beings too. All shall be smitten with fear, and the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth. So they talk about these fallen angels who mated with the daughters of men and became these, men of renown, the giants. They talk about the giants in this book. And again, we could go a lot deeper on this. I'm just scratching the surface. But this is saying that as this happens, that these negative forces that are here on earth, including spiritual forces, will quake with fear. They will be very afraid of this moment when it happens. The high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like wax before the flame, and the earth shall wholly be rent in sunder, and all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be a judgment upon all. And there shall be, but with the righteous he will make peace. Okay, so again, this is the catastrophic version, similar to the Zoroastrian prophecy. In fact, the idea of the mountains melting like wax is straight out of Zoroastrian prophecy. Again, this is the kind of burning-oriented solar flash prophecy, which I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be non-catastrophic based upon what we saw. But again, and Aaron says, this is a great show, David, thank you. I'm glad you like it. Is Ascension a catastrophe or something good? I'm confused now. It's not a catastrophe, but I want you to navigate through the Book of Enoch and understand that these prophecies were originally given to warn us so that if we didn't get right with God, if we didn't get right with the universe, that these kind of things could happen. And now I believe that they will be spared. We will be spared from this. These are not the things that are going to happen. So I just want to make that clear. It is catastrophic sounding, but again, we're doing a great job here, and we've avoided this, and I think that we will avoid this. He will protect the elect, and mercy shall be upon them, and they shall all belong to God, and they shall be prospered, and they shall all be blessed, and he will help them all. And light shall appear unto them, and he will make peace with them. So this is a very beautiful prophecy, isn't it? If you go beyond the negative part about the earth and what's happening, it's a very interesting prophecy about ascension, which again carries through so many different legends, and Jesus referred to this himself. And then we're up to 45:3 now. Their souls shall grow strong within them when they see my elect ones. This is talking about the arrival of multiple angelic beings. Okay, not just one. And those who have called upon my glorious name. Then will I cause mine elect one to dwell among them. This is messianic. And I will transform the heaven and make it an eternal blessing and light. And I will transform the earth and make it a blessing. So this is very cool. This is the idea that beings return, and again, I believe that many of the beings that are visiting us are good, and it's going to be a positive thing. And I will cause mine elect ones to dwell upon the earth, but the sinners and evildoers shall not set foot thereon, for I have provided and satisfied with peace my righteous ones, and have caused them to dwell before me. But for the sinners there is judgment impending with me, so that I shall destroy them from the face of the earth. Now again, I don't think this is literally true. I think, again, everybody on earth who is here when this happens will see this. These prophecies have to be taken in the guise of the warning that certain things would happen a certain way. I don't believe that the negative forces will not be here. Quick thought instead, says J. Bob Philippe, instead of leaving a better world for the kids, we should focus on leaving better kids in the world. The rest will take care of itself. That's pretty interesting. Anyway, thank you for the donation. So let's keep on going with this. So again, I get it. These prophecies are very intense and they sound violent and kind of like, wait a minute. The sinners will be judged and destroyed from the face of the earth. Well, yeah, but the more recent things that I brought through suggest that we're all going to be here when this happens and that we're all going to receive this vision when it occurs. And there will be people very unhappy. But really what's happening more is about the reduction of the force, the effectiveness of the negative on earth. That's what I think is really going on at this time, just so that we're clear. Blessed are ye righteous and elect, for glorious shall be your lot. We're now up to 58:2. And the righteous shall be in the light of the sun, and the elect in the light of eternal life. The days of their life shall be unending, and the days of the holy without number. So there it is again, and Jesus actually said, the righteous shall shine like the sun. This is him quoting the Book of Enoch, apparently. So in the book of Matthew, that's one of the places where we see that. Then shall the righteous shine forth like the sun. So we're saying, it says here there's going to be a glorious outcome, that we will be blessed, and there will be eternal life. I mean, it's really beautiful. And again, this is what the Law of One calls our fourth density activation. When we're fully activated, we become the light, we have light bodies, we're transformed, We have this whole new way of living, this whole new way of being that is just really quite spectacular. And so, yes, if you're going through the Book of Enoch, it has these catastrophic components. I don't think those are going to happen. I think we're going to be spared those things, but that we are still going to get some type of non-catastrophic ascension where this light body activation will occur. Now, you can say, oh, David, you're so full of it. This is all nonsense. None of this is ever going to happen. But it's a very consistent prophecy in 35 different ancient traditions. We have beings coming here teaching us about this stuff. Thank you, Live Water, for the donation. Nobody is really righteous, so I guess we're all screwed. No, that's the point. Enough of us have embraced the teachings of Jesus that we're going to have a non-catastrophic ascension. Don't look at these old words as being literally accurate. It was a warning that was intended to inspire us to grow beyond this so that we don't have to go through these things, that we actually get a better outcome than what we were threatened with. That's what we really should focus on. And they shall seek the light and find righteousness with the Lord of spirits. There shall be peace to the righteous in the name of the eternal Lord. And after this it shall be said to the holy in heaven that they should seek out the secrets of righteousness, the heritage of faith, for it has become as bright as the sun upon the earth, and the darkness is past. That's, again, a very interesting prophecy talking about that the world itself will be different. It'll become as bright as the sun all the time. Really, really fascinating, isn't it? So this is a really beautiful ascension prophecy. There shall be a light that never ends, and there will be a limit of a number of days they shall not come, for the darkness shall first have been destroyed, and the light of uprightness established forever before the Lord of spirits. And again, this destruction, I believe, is happening now, and it will continue, and it's happening as peacefully as possible. That's really what's going on. And then it leads to this beautiful outcome. 61, the Lord of spirits placed the elect one on the throne of glory, and he shall judge all the works of the holy above in the heaven, and in the balance shall their deeds be weighed, and when he shall lift up his countenance to judge their secret ways according to the word of the name of the Lord of spirits, and their path according to the way of the righteous judgment of the Lord of spirits, then shall they all speak with one voice and bless, and glorify and extol and sanctify the name of the Lord of spirits. So again, this is saying that as we go through this planetary crucifixion, as we go through this difficult ascension process, everybody unifies, everybody comes together, we all speak with one voice, we're all transformed, we're all doing this thing in a very, very interesting way. It's fascinating. And he will summon all the host of the heavens and all the holy ones above, and the host of God, the cherubic, seraphim, and ophanim, and all the angels of power, and all the angels of principalities, and the elect one, and the other powers on the earth and over the water. So all the host of the heavens, all the holy ones will be summoned. This is fascinating. This is, again, talking about our galactic family reunion, that when this event happens, that all these beings show up, and it's a big, giant cosmic party, in a sense. It's pretty wild, huh? On that day shall raise one voice, and shall bless and glorify and exalt in the spirit of faith, and in the spirit of wisdom, and in the spirit of patience, and in the spirit of mercy, and the spirit of judgment and peace, and the spirit of goodness, and they shall all say with one voice, Blessed is he, and may the name of the Lord of spirits be blessed forever and ever. Well, this again sounds a lot like a second coming. And so everybody is unified. I think that what happens is really, to me, based on my own take on this, prophetic take that I've gotten, we all ascend together. Nobody is left behind, including people that were not of the same vibration. They all get this transfiguration. They all get this kind of activation, this knowingness. I mean, maybe some people won't be here before this happens, but, you know, I really encourage you to not look at this as doom and gloom. I don't want you to be afraid. I don't want you to be scared by this. I hope Mother Earth can come with us. Yes, this is the transformation of the earth, Zoroastrian prophecy. And we're all transformed. We're all brought up into a higher consciousness with all these angelic beings in this great family reunion. It's really quite something. And, you know, so we're all going to see this together. And the righteous and the elect will be saved on that day. They shall never thenceforward see the face of sinners and unrighteous. The Lord of spirits will abide over them, and with that Son of Man shall they eat and lie down and rise up forever and ever. So again, it's very interesting. And the righteous and elect shall have risen from the earth and cease to be of downcast countenance, and they shall have been clothed with garments of glory. That's the idea of the light body activation, being clothed with the garments of glory. Very fascinating concept here. And these shall be the garments of life from the Lord of spirits. And your garments shall not grow old, nor your glory pass away before the Lord of spirits. So I've been doing a lot of reading of this here, but I want to hear some of your comments here, because it's I understand this is a little bit freakish, a little bit scary. All of God's children are safe, says Earthheart. I believe that's true, yes. These writings are hopeful in many ways. My impression is that they are propaganda, says Ellie Cox. I don't know about that. But anyway, we got a lot of things going on here. And this is just, again, a classic text that, it has strengths and weaknesses. I don't know if it's perfect. I'm not saying that this is the absolute revealed teaching. It did not make it into the Bible. It was not canonized with the rest of the Bible. And the author at the beginning of this book that I was reading from the preface to, whose name is probably Rachel or Ruth or something like that, she seems to think that it was written around 200 to 100 BC. They did research on who it was, and that it was a man, in a particular area. But again, I would encourage you to just reflect on the positivity of the idea of ascension. I don't think that I think that all of us will get to see this together. In fact, that was one of the really weird things about my Michael prophecies, was the idea that the negative will still be here, and they're going to have to see other people getting activation, other people getting this ascension happening. They're going to see that, but they could get it to happen to them if they do the right work. It's just that it's not going to be in the first wave necessarily. So it's a very different view, and I get that. Whatever is going to happen is anybody's guess. This is, again, apocalyptic in nature, some of these prophecies, but it's fascinating about what happens here. That's right. Paige says, it sounds like a glorious good time. Thank you so much for reading this to us. I can hardly wait. Yeah, I find it fascinating. And, again, I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody does. But this stuff, deeply resonated enough with Jesus that he read from it. And I believe that he kept us safe and that we're not going to have to go through catastrophe. This is not a prison planet, says Savage Beauty. Change your beliefs and be free of negative viewpoints. I would totally agree. We don't need to be afraid of this. We don't need to feel like this is some evil, terrible, horrible thing. And in fact, one of the things that we do get that's so beautiful is this staggering vision of heaven that shows up in the material. And so this, to me, is coming from an inspired place. Dr. Phil says, meteors are not meteors. They are signs in the heaven, and we are accelerating. It's not going to happen. It is happening, says Angel Pond. This is why Enoch was taken out of the Bible. This is the truth. Well, again, it is very specific and very detailed, but one of the things that we get is this very, very amazing vision of heaven with angelic beings that, to me, this is like one of the most important parts to read, because it really encapsulates what these heavenly realms look like, what we can expect as we go through this transfiguration, this beautiful, beautiful future. So here, let's check this out. And it came to pass after this that my spirit was translated, and it ascended into the heavens, and I saw the holy sons of God. They were stepping on flames of fire. Their garments were white, and their raiment and their faces shone like snow. So there you go, the holy sons of God, again, a reference to angelic beings, which probably never left us. They still exist. They're still here. We're getting disclosure in the future. This is going to happen. It's very exciting, very cool. And I saw 2 streams of fire, and that light of that fire shone like hyacinth. Isn't that interesting? And I fell on my face before the Lord of spirits. And the angel Michael, one of the archangels, seized me by my right hand. and lifted me up and led me forth into all the secrets, and he showed me all the secrets of righteousness. So here's a direct celebrity appearance of Archangel Michael in the Book of Enoch, falling on his face before the Lord of Spirits, which sounds like it's probably some incarnation of Jesus. It's really, really interesting, isn't it? Several Christian sects have Enoch as a part of their Bible, like the Ethiopians. David just said Jesus read from this, but the timeline does not match. Yes, it does. This is definitely, as I said, some people believe this is as old as the book of Genesis. It's definitely, again, even the author of the book says 200 to 100 BC. So that's 100 years at least before Jesus was here. And, you know, maybe it's not all true, but it's interesting that he would have quoted from it. And that is an established scholarly fact. So this beautiful vision of heaven is what we're focusing on right now. Showed me all the secrets of righteousness from the Archangel Michael. So he gets an Archangel Michael tour of heaven, which is really nice. He showed me all the secrets of the ends of heaven, and all the chambers of all the stars, and all the luminaries, whence they proceed before the face of the holy ones. So chambers of the stars, luminaries, secrets of heaven, and the faces of the holy ones. It's really interesting. And he translated my spirit into the heaven of heavens, and I saw there, as it were, a structure built of crystals. Woo! And between those crystals were tongues of living fire. Can you imagine just getting to look at something like this, the gorgeousness, the beauty of what was seen, and what does that really mean for us, and how does this change what we would believe? Oh, I'm an hour behind. I'm looking at your Rocketdyne stuff, by the way. Okay, well, right. So anyway, hi there in the chat, somebody says. Structure built of crystals and tongues of living fire. It sounds just absolutely amazing. A crystal city with light flowing through it, the beautiful, beautiful structures and shapes and colors. It's awesome. And my spirit saw the girdle which girt that house of fire, and on its four sides were streams full of living fire, and they girt that house. And round about were seraphim, cherubic, and ophanim. There again are those angels we were talking about. And these are they who sleep not, and guard the throne of his glory. So again, somebody was aware enough of these different types of beings to define seraphim, cherubim, ophanim, just as we were hearing about these different types, we talked about it before. And I saw angels who could not be counted, 1,000 thousands, and 10,000 times 10,000, encircling that house. And Michael, and Raphael, and Gabriel, and Phanuel, and the holy angels who are above the heavens go in and out of that house. So it's this beautiful, beautiful crystal house. So yes, somebody else is again diverting the topic. David, I think it's important to point out Project Bluebeam could still play a part in all of this. It's not to say ETs and angels don't exist. Please explain this to your audience. I believe we did. Poor David, you can't replicate yourself to cover all the topics we want to hear. American Eagle says, in my real life, no one loves me unless I give them something. They never talk to me. I'm sorry to hear that, man. But we love you here. We're glad that you're here. Thank you for being here. Again, as far as Project Bluebeam goes, yes, that is part of our scenario, that there could be a staged fake event of some kind. We were warned about that from Werner von Braun. So don't believe everything you see. I'm totally down with that. But at the same time, this type of ascension event we're talking about is way beyond anything that we would normally expect to occur. This is a huge, huge transfiguration of the planet, like nothing we've ever seen. And they came forth from that house, and Michael, and Gabriel, Raphael, and Phanuel, and many holy angels without number, and with them the head of days, his head white, and pure as wool, and his raiment indescribable. It's pretty beautiful. Jesus apparently being the head of days, coming forth from this beautiful crystal house, surrounded by seraphim, ophanim, cherubim, all these angelic beings. And I fell on my face, and my whole body became relaxed, and my spirit was transfigured, And I cried out with a loud voice, with the spirit of power, and blessed and glorified and extolled. Well, this is another example. The loud voice probably means that his voice became supernaturally loud based upon this energetic environment that he was in. That's one of the things we talked about, the voice of power, that your voice becomes supernaturally loud and it can vibrate the walls and shake everything around you. He said his spirit was transfigured, crying out with the spirit of power, the loud voice, being blessed and extolled. It's really interesting. That's one of the things that apparently happens to us with ascension. No Uriel, says Derrier Heaven. Yeah, I mean, Phanuel is the one that was given in the place of Uriel. I don't know. But I want you guys to hear from this Book of Enoch. It's fascinating. You got it going on, David, per my wife now, says Dr. Phil. We all surf on the cosmic frequency. We need to realize it and follow our own heart, not attached to dark news. That's right. I mean, these kinds of prophecies, these ascension prophecies, they're in many, many different traditions, and they're so widespread that I really think it's worth looking at this and taking stock of what we've heard and hearing about this vision of heaven. And these blessings which went forth out of my mouth were well-pleasing before that head of days. And that head of days came with Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Phanuel. Thousands and 10,000s of angels without number. So massive numbers of these beings that appear in this heavenly realm. It's really beautiful. And he, i.e. the angel, Archangel Michael, came unto me and greeted me with his voice and said unto me, This is the Son of Man, who is born unto righteousness, and righteousness abides over him, and the righteousness of the head of days forsakes him not. There you go. The Son of Man born into righteousness. So again, really interesting that this was before the time of Jesus, but it predicted his arrival. And Jesus, in fact, did call himself the Son of Man. So he took this name on and used it in his own work. It's really, really interesting. And he said unto me, He proclaims unto thee peace in the name of the world to come. For from hence has proceeded peace since the creation of the world. And so shall it be unto thee, forever and forever and ever. So once we go through this change, the world will be a place of peace. We're never going to have to go through this difficulty again. It's going to be transformed. And forever and ever it will be like that. We go into fourth density, as Law of One calls it. It's a very fascinating prophecy. And all shall walk in his ways, since righteousness never forsaketh him. With him will be their dwelling places, and with him their heritage. And they shall not be separated from him forever and ever and ever. And so there shall be length of days with that Son of Man, and the righteous shall have peace and an upright way, in the name of the Lord of spirits, forever and ever. There you go. So it's really interesting how this talks about the positivity that's going to occur and where this is all taking us and what we're going to get out of it. It's really nice. Savage Beauty, everything will get better soon for everyone. We're going to relocate into loving communities. It's a beautiful prophecy. Amen to that, Savage Beauty, says Serena Bella. Awesome content, David. Thank you, says Judy Jean. Yeah, I mean, even if I would hope that even if you're not religious or Christian or whatever, that you can still appreciate what these visions are and where they're coming from and the glory and the peace and the bounty and the beauty that it represents, how this is going to take us to the next level as a society. I think it's very, very interesting. So there shall be length of days within that Son of Man. The righteous shall have peace in an upright way. In the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever. So again, when we look at how this all affects us, there are other scriptures like the Zoroastrian scripture that proclaim that it's a gradual change, that it's going to be a transformation bit by bit, one by one, over time, that it doesn't happen immediately. It takes time to occur, and it's not an immediate thing. And that's really the interpretation that I'm more apt to go with. I think that this is all heading in the right direction for us. I think we're going in a direction that is positive and peaceful. And therefore, I encourage you to remember the holographic nature of the universe. Remember that we are the light. We are coming from that amplituhedron, or whatever you want to call it, the original geometric form, this Merkaba. And so there's no lack in the universe. There's no lack of wisdom and knowledge and understanding. And as we move forward, we see that this is a greater totality that we're coming into. This is a greater level of beingness that we get to enjoy. We will be transformed. We will be uplifted. And it's a very positive prophecy. Now, again, the catastrophic elements of this I don't think are going to happen. I had 7 books come through me, Michael Prophecies. The link to that is in the comments section. You can go get it if you want. It's a beautiful text. And it really helps us understand that, yes, this is where our nature is. This is where our destiny is. This is where our future is. And I'm going to be here with you, hopefully, for this. I want to be here. I want to stay here. I want to be able to get through this. There's, again, just like General McCaslin, I got forces coming up against me too. And, the work that I've done has been pretty audacious, pretty daring over the years. But we're focused on the positive. We're focused on what we can do. And this is a time of healing. So we see wars and rumors of wars. We see things that are really scary. We see deadlines coming up. And then it somehow works out. And now it's far enough into the future that I believe another week is going to go by where there's no deadlines actually coming up. So prior to Easter, hopefully things will be relatively relaxed. We pray for the success of our troops. We certainly don't want them to come into harm's way. We pray that this thing can be resolved quickly and peacefully without a whole lot more loss of life, a whole lot more loss of infrastructure. Let's hope that we can rebuild our world. Joe says, I'm on a time delay. I'm not trying to divert you. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. So yes, I am very grateful for the various things that I've studied over the years, the various ascension prophecies. They really mean a lot. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to focus on some practical tools that help us to become the light. And these are just things that I think are really valuable meditations right now as we're going through all this turmoil, this upheaval, this struggle. It's good to have a grounded, centered spiritual practice that gives us reason to be alive, reason to hope, reason to keep moving forward, reason to be happy with ourselves, happy with our successes, and to know that we're going to be okay and to live that way. So here's the first one. Open up to the oasis of peace that surrounds us. And this sounds very basic, but again, it's so easy to lose track of that. The law of one says that seeking the love in this moment creates an exponential increase in the power that you can draw upon from the positive. Each additional seeking of love in this moment creates an exponential increase in the power that can be drawn upon. And so if you can open up to the oasis of peace that surrounds us, you are acclimating yourself to that higher consciousness. You are sort of like getting into water slowly. You don't want it to be too shocking. So you open up to that oasis, you awaken to your true divine inheritance. And that's a beautiful thing. You are a beautiful thing, a beautiful person. And it's what we all are here for, is to become the light. So the next one, live without fear and love without reward. In other words, renouncing fear is one of the most important teachings. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel fear, but you learn how to move beyond it. And I'm very good at that myself. There's plenty of things that scare me. There's plenty of things going on that I could be very worried about. That's why your donations are very helpful. Let's make sure I didn't miss any here. Yep, haven't missed any. But yeah, it's very, very important to be able to love yourself, and it's very important to not dwell on the negative, to not dwell on fear. So that's why week after week, I want to bring you these positive messages. I get it. The Ascension message in the Book of Enoch is very discontinuous. It has some kind of like wow factor, like, wow, are you telling me that this is all going to happen, that there's going to be this huge, huge discontinuous shift. Well, we don't know what's going to happen, but we certainly can look at these prophecies and say, yeah, it's quite shocking. It's quite an amazing thing to consider that might happen. Love without reward. That's a very basic Christ teaching, right? The idea being that we don't need to have expectations about what we're going to receive. We just simply love because love is a positive thing that we're going to focus on. It's a good thing for us to do. It's a good thing for us to embody. We want to embody that love, and we want to be able to share it with others. So, that's a really beautiful thing. Karma repays every kindness in full. This is another important thing to remember. The law of karma is an everlasting truth. And we have that law in all aspects of our lives. It shines through everything. Shines through so many aspects of who and what we are. To recognize that karma exists, to recognize that we are blessed, is truly a gift. Do you guys agree? Tracy Always Rocks says, your light is powerfully bright. Yes, it is best that we support each other, says Judy Jean. Helping our second density friends is a loving act. That's right. So, learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. You cannot pour water from an empty container or vessel. So, we've got a lot of good things going on here. And it's very positive. So, okay. So if you believe in the book, my father told me, do not put fear in your children's eyes. The government is putting fear in our eyes. God doesn't like ugly, says Tammy Tansy. I agree with that. But again, they obviously have a reason for why they're doing this. And I believe that reason was deemed important enough to put our troops at risk. And so, I know a lot of people don't want any war, and I get that. And it's already happening. We just have to deal with it. Oh, wow, we got a $111 donation. That's really great. From Cosmic Dream. Hey, David, happy Sunday. Hope the weather is good. Hope they get your local food stores back up and running soon. They are running. They just don't have a lot of stuff. That's why I'm getting so skinny. I really don't have any fat left, actually. Much love. We love you very much. So, yeah, but I'm doing well. Things are good. I'm going to be fine. We are carried, protected, and loved for. It is believing then seeing, not how we have been taught seeing is believing. It's frequency. So, yes, it's a great thing to be alive at this time in the universe's history as we embrace that message of Christ, as we embrace that message of divinity and love. We're transforming ourselves. We are becoming the light. We are getting beyond the scope of limitation that once defined us. And we're seeing a greater truth. We're seeing a greater reality. And yeah, so it's a very positive thing. Did I miss a donation here? Somebody said that I did. No, I don't think I did. That's right. We're good. Anyway, thank you again very much. Those $100+ donations, Cosmic Dream, the latest one, really do help us greatly. Helps me to make sure that I can support my habit of eating. Those checks come in at the end of the month, and it really does help a lot. So sorry that we need to live on a money system, but we do for now, and hopefully that'll be another thing that goes by the wayside as we go into this new reality. There's really two paths. There's like an AI-infused negative reality where it's all cyborgs and robots and nobody has a job, but you'll own nothing and be happy, right, supposedly. Then the positive ascension view is something very different, where there's loving beings that reunite with us, and we have the angelic kingdom joining with us. All these kind of things become realities that are in part of our everyday life now. So, it's a glorious thing. I ordered my first Ethiopian Bible a few days ago. I'm anxiously awaiting its arrival. What a great coincidence, says Eric Ketchum. Very cool. So, anyway, we have a lot of things going on, and it's a positive that we're able to get through this. I'm not sure what was going on here with that. Just looking at my comments here. Give me a second here. What did that guy say? Okay. Oh, yeah, okay, got it. Anyway, living through each moment of time, one day at a time, we got to remember that there is a law of karma. There is cause and effect. The things that you do will come back to you, so you want to be very positive. That's why I try to give you guys as much of a loving message as possible. Lisa Dawn Marble just donated. Brave David, your last Sunday, March 22nd message you received from a soul was the #1 most ongoing life-helping thing that communicated. Who communicated those messages to you? Were they from Archangel Michael? Well, it was implied by the line about the sword. I just am calling it my source, my higher self. But yes, I just decided to listen within. And we have another one of those that we're going to do again next week. I already brought it through, but I'm not going to do it this week. We kind of ran out of time already. We'll just do this for right now. But thank you for that. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad that you appreciated it. So anyway, okay, I see what's going on here. Anyway, karma repays kindness as well as negativity. We get both. So we have both of them showing up at the same time. And when you do good things, the good things come back into your life. That's the way it works. The karma comes around full circle, and it is positive. So, we're very appreciative of all the things that happen and how we can live better lives and more appropriately peaceful lives. Remembering that life is a shower of infinite blessings. And that's a really good thing. We're seeing how this works. And we see that, in fact, our life does give us many positive things to enjoy. Many positive things come in. And that's a good thing, man. It's a very positive thing to understand that your life rewards you for the good that you do. Positive karma does exist. And so you want to stay in that positivity as much as you can. You don't want to be dragged down by the negative. We certainly have our share of haters. We certainly have our share of trolls. There's discussion about that always going on in the comments section. You know what? It's okay. It's okay because they are here too, and we're all sharing this planet together, and I believe that we're all ascending together at the same time. So recognizing that life is blessings and being able to accept those blessings and have gratitude for the goodness that does happen in your life, when you do get it, it can be great. It can be great to have positivity. It can be great to have positive things happen. Nothing that we need to worry about, Let's try to focus on the goodness that we have. So here's another one. Opening your heart is painful but beautiful. As we go through these wars and rumors of wars, a lot of times we end up in arguments with the people who we love. That can happen very easily. We're definitely looking at a possibility here that this is all going to change. But in the meantime, people can snap at us and we can get arguments and negativity, and very upsetting things can happen that disrupt our flow and our continuity. So opening your heart at times can be practicing that forgiveness. That's the core of the Law of One teaching. It's painful, but it is helpful and beautiful to do that as well. And I embrace you. I embrace all of my viewers here. Thank you for spending time with me today. Thank you for being a part of our shared exploration. Opening the heart is a great thing, man. So it is painful, but it's also a beautiful process. Learning to accept the things that you cannot change, the courage to change the things you can, the wisdom to know the difference. Wow, that really adds up to a lot. It really does. So it's painful but beautiful. Also understanding that in the infinite reality, there is no such thing as a letdown. You may feel let down by certain things, but every change that comes our way is ultimately another opportunity for growth, for healing, for resolution. Even the most painful ones ultimately transform us in some way. And I have some really rough stuff going on in my own life right now. As I said, I have a friend in the nursing home, and, he's going through a lot of hell. There's a lot of difficulty in his life. And so talking to him every day on the phones, it's very intense to be there with him and process his pain. But we pray for his healing. We pray for his restoration. And, he's had a lot of challenges. He's had some heart attacks recently. It's been very intense. But anyway, there's no letdowns in the infinite reality. Even if we do pass away, there is a greater reality that we go into, and that is a positive. You can't really lose in the infinite universe. You only gain based upon your own merit and your own achievement, and your own moving forward. So again, recognizing that everything ultimately can be a blessing will help you so much in being able to process your issues as they come up. Simplicity is what leads to transcension. That's another one that I think we can really benefit from, is the idea that in simplicity, we actually transform ourselves. Becoming the light does involve embracing that simplicity. And, so what we can do here is to just be able to see that, chop wood and carry water. Before enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. And that's interesting. So we're in a good place. We're working together. We're doing the things that we need to do. And it's all part of that everlasting flow. Look at what's happening here. The disclosure is happening. Even though certain people may have been eliminated, there's still going to be a disclosure. We're still going to get the truth out. I don't think it could ever be stopped. Threats do not do any good. I am still here. I showed up this week for you guys. We still had a maximum of 2,700 people watching live. It's pretty amazing that could happen. There's no place I'd rather be. Thank you for showing up, says Meerkat. Thank you, Meerkat. Living within our means, nothing more wise than that. And Natero says, I'm from China. I read your source field book. It was very intriguing and I was educated. Thank you very much. Every little thing is going to be all right. Yes, so again, with the simplicity of your life, as you embrace simplicity, you are embracing your transcension as well. Those two things go hand in hand. Next is to enjoy the fountain of everlasting love. Love can flow like a fountain. The more that you experience it, the more that you dwell upon it, and you flow from that space, you flow from that understanding, it becomes like a fountain and it becomes more and more prevalent. That can be difficult right now, but if you focus on it, you can embody it, you can bring it into being. And so we want you to enjoy that. We want you to, we as in just, the cosmic beings and all the sources that are represented by these wisdom teachings that I'm sharing with you, all of them want you to enjoy that everlasting love and to feel it course through you. They all say that they want you to be feeling the love that is all around you, that never goes away. Another one here, live in the knowledge of infinite truth. We talked about the fact that the universe is love, the universe is light, and that you are becoming that light. And so we live in that knowledge, we grow within it, we are redefined by it, we're transformed by it. And that knowledge carries us through all of our difficulties. Infinite truth brings us out of misery. It brings us into loving consciousness, which is so good. It's good to be alive. It's good to have this remembering, and it's good to be here. So thank you for being here with me. Thank you. The next one that I want to share with you is to reveal the path in the midst of sorrow. Sorrow is not necessarily to be avoided. I've had a lot of sorrow myself. There's a lot of things going on that are really scary and frightening to me, as I've been saying in other weeks. I don't know how it's all going to work out. It has to work out pretty fast. We're really kind of running out of time here. The clock is ticking. But this is just for my own life, in terms of what I'm dealing with financially and everything. So, but I believe that we're going to be okay. I have to just keep on focusing on that and focus on the positive as much as I can. This time that's coming up is a very, very critical time. And, we're working on a launch. We're working on things we can do to bring in that revenue. It's all good. So, again, in the midst of sorrow, you can find the path. In the midst of sorrow, you can be led and guided to the very things that define you, that transform you, that uplift you and take you into higher and higher levels. And this also involves taking stock of your strengths and weaknesses, remembering that you do have a wide variety of strengths and weaknesses, and don't be ashamed of that. Don't be afraid of that. Live in the fact that you have both Take stock of them. Don't be in denial about who and what you are. Yes, there are weaknesses, but you also have strengths. And those strengths can carry you through so much, can be such a good thing. So here's the next one. Do not forget that you are a child of God. This is very important. That you are, in fact, protected and blessed and guided over and cared for, and that everything that's coming your way, the more that you focus on positivity, peace, forgiveness, transformation, the more that those things will become your reality, and the more that you can live in that reality and really enjoy that reality as it is on its face. So this can carry you a very long way, remembering that you're a child of God, remembering that you're protected, remembering that you're part of an infinite loving cosmos. Nothing can do more for you than that. It's just so amazing. It really is. Oh, okay. Color by Numbers says, did you hear about the other NASA scientist who disappeared in June? Another MIT alumnus, research physicist Dr. Brandon Perry at NASA's Johnson Center. The one thing that I'm concerned about with the media on all this stuff is that if they try to make every scientist who disappears look like it was a conspiracy, you know, then they can take anybody. I mean, people do die. That does happen. And not everybody is necessarily some kind of negative event that was done deliberately. There can be people who just get lost because they were murdered, you know, or maybe they weren't murdered. Maybe they died because, you know, natural causes, who knows? But not every murder is a bad thing either. I mean, it's not like every single thing that happens is caused by some type of negative force. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to, you know, not trying to say that they're all part of some grand conspiracy, but to try to make it like that is what's going to scare people. That's the problem. So do not forget that you are a child of God. Very important. Also important is to open your mind to the infinite awareness. This is, again, sounds a little bit repetitive, but it's the more that you do that, the more that you open your mind to this infinite awareness, the more that you're really redefining yourself in this loving consciousness that we're talking about today. And it gives you hope, and it gives you purpose, and it gives you a reason to exist. Tracy says, thank you, I needed to hear this. Look within and find the everlasting truth. There is an everlasting truth within you, and the more that you go within, the more that you can find that truth, and it will transform you. Open your heart to infinite possibility. The universe has infinite possibility. Even when it looks like all is lost and nothing could ever change and nothing could turn around, it still can happen. It still could be a miracle. There still can be amazing positive events that transform everything. And I'm hanging on for that now myself. That's what we need. It's wonderful. I'm so glad the universe works this way. Remember your calling as a divine soul. You are here to uplift others. You are here to spread love and light. You are here to be a blessing to this earth and to the world and to humanity. Embrace that. Live in that truth. Know that that's who you are and be okay with it, because this is something that's so beautiful. Remember your calling as a divine soul. It's a really great little teaching there. And let's have another one now. You are a fractal of the divine. That's just like what we were talking about with the photons, that your soul is redefined by everything that you are. You know, the photon, in each infinitesimal part of you lies the one in all of its majesty and glory. That's a great teaching from the Law of One. Murder is definitely caused by an evil force. Wow. I mean, yeah, but I'm saying that somebody could be murdered. I'm not saying it was a positive, but I'm saying somebody could be murdered for a reason that had nothing to do with negative organized conspiracies, let's say. So even if somebody did get killed by somebody, you know, like some of these guys who died, let me just clarify that. Some of these guys who died were murdered, but was it because somebody put him up to it? Was it because there was an evil group behind it? Or was it just a personal battle? We don't really know that. So that's why I say we just got to weigh it out and be careful and try to understand what's going on here, and not, you know, not assume that this is all the work of some evil group that's trying to take people out of the game. It could be, but I just want to focus on the fact that maybe it isn't, okay? Give time for the universe to manifest its blessings. Things do need time. It doesn't always happen as fast as we want it to. That's an unfortunate reality. The Creator is infinite light. That's what we were talking about today, that you're becoming the light. Time and space are manifestations of consciousness. That's a really good one. The law is everlasting and omnipresent. We know that. No one else can do this but you. That is a very good one too. Remember that you are at the center of your own reality. Nobody else can do this but you. Share your wisdom and embrace others. These are all really great things. Let's see how many more I've got here. Yeah, we'll do more from here. So anyway. Yeah, so I don't mean to denigrate the importance of murder. I mean, murder is a really tragic, terrible thing. I was just saying that it's not like every murder is some evil conspiracy. That's all. I mean, it's evil. It's bad if somebody gets murdered, but it doesn't mean it's some evil group that was responsible. That's all I'm saying. So again, we're meditating on the concept of heaven. We're meditating on the concept of eternal light, a glorious future, and we are focused on the message of love. We are focused on the message of peace. We're focused on the message of how we can get through this and be loving beings with one another, loving with each other, how we can learn that we are one with the light, one with the love, one with that radiant essence that the universe is made from. And so now, without further ado, since we're at the 20-minute mark, I want to start our global peace meditation. And again, we have enough here that we should be able to do something really good. This is a very important part of our show because, again, if you can hang with me here and just do this meditation with us for 10 minutes, if you get an ad, just hit skip, that's fine. But we really do want to vote for peace and vote for love and vote for the glory of what we have and get that going for all of us, because that's really what we have to share with each other is the peace, the love. And as we meditate together, we're actually transforming the planet, we're transforming consciousness, and we're getting ready for our ascension, for our graduation. Vegas says this was a fantastic show. Cameron Clapp says, this is so awesome. I'm totally resonating with each of these passages, holding each of these messages as an affirmation of love and light. Thank you very much. Yep. So, okay, let's do this without any further ado. I think this is the best thing we can do right now. So I'd like you to close your eyes, put both feet flat on the floor, take a nice deep breath, let it go. Feel yourself becoming the light that is the universe. Breathing in everlasting light and exhaling everlasting light. Feeling yourself becoming deeply relaxed, knowing all the while that you are whole and complete and pure in this very moment, that this is a glorious future that we have ahead of us, a wonderful time for us to be alive, to share in this adventure of consciousness and beingness with one another. Remembering that we have never been alone. Remembering that we are always unified. That in each infinitesimal part of our being lies the one in its resplendent glory. And we are made whole. And we are made pure. And we are brought to a place of inner peace. Place of tranquility. Place of loving consciousness that has so long sought for us to recognize our true nature as the divine incarnate, that we have the spark of the Christ consciousness within us. We have the fractals of the universe in our very being, and we are never alone. We have been brought up and raised in a culture that has idiosyncrasies, that has difficulties, that has stress and fear and pain. But we move beyond that pain. We move beyond that negativity just by breathing, focusing on the continuity of each experience, focusing on the glory of our breath, focusing on the gift of existence, the gift of being human, the gift of what it means to rise to the challenge of being, to rise to the challenge of our knowingness and our understanding, so that we know that there will be a positive future. We know that there will be activations. We know there will be transfigurations. We know that the holy ones will return, that we will never be alone. We remember that great truth. We understand it, and we live in the glory of that which will be. For we are so happy this day, so happy to be together, so happy to spend this time with one another, so happy to understand that we are not lost, that we are not alone, that we are not left behind, that the universe bathes us in its radiance, and that we have everything to be grateful for, nothing to fear, that the world has transformed us in ways we cannot comprehend, that we are already moving through this loving consciousness now, and experiencing this peace. We send this peace to all those areas of strife and conflict where wars are taking place, Russia, Ukraine, the Middle East, Iran, sending loving light to our own soldiers, hoping that we all can move through this as quickly as possible, minimal loss of life, minimal casualties, asking that the higher forces bless us with a pathway forward that does not involve any overt disruption, where our lives are able to continue moving along. We're able to spend our time being happy and grateful and not experiencing outrageous negativity, but moving forward in love and in trust and in hope and in understanding. We're so grateful for the time that we have here on earth. We're so grateful for every minute of our path and our journey. We're so grateful to be emboldened by that which we know and that which we can do, to see ourselves rising beyond our limitations, to see ourselves becoming something that we never thought we could be, but now is the very essence of who and what we are. We are redefined by this love. We are redefined by this peace. We are redefined by this glory. And we're so grateful for what we have and what we can share. We're so grateful for our time with each other. We're so grateful for the peace that rises through us. And we send that peace out into the world. We transform the world with our loving consciousness. We are reborn in that awareness. We are made whole and pure by understanding how much we are loved, how deeply that love flows through us, how resonant it truly is, and what it means to have it available, to know that we are not alone, to live that way, to understand that glory, to redefine everything we thought we knew, to be clear and whole and pure, and to remember our true calling, to know that we are not alone, to live in this glory, to live in this peace, to experience this majesty that transforms us. This is the great calling. This is the true nature of who and what we are. This is what we came here for. This is where we belong. This is why life can be magical and joyful and peaceful and wonderful. Because in the grandest sense, we are the light. We are the love. We are the one infinite creator. And this is as it was, as it is now, and as it always shall be. And nothing and no one can ever take that from us. And so it is. Amen. Thank you guys so very much. Let's wake up, get back into the room now, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Had a couple donations come in here. We had Star Yoga 888, thank you very much. And we had Stefka Filipov donated $50. Thank you, David, for all you do. I really appreciate that. We did pretty well on donations today. And I'm grateful that that happened. So You guys are awesome. I really want to thank you all for being here. Sorry that I showed up at the last minute. It was a very difficult week, I got to say. You know, in some ways, getting the warmth was great, but in other ways, you know, it suddenly got cold. It was like, oh my God, it just goes up and down. Anyway, Frequency says, amen to that, David. Thank you so much for all you do. Your voice is truly calming, and we love you. We love you too. Star Yoga donated again. Thank you very much. Amen, and so it is. Thank you, David. What another great show, says Serena Bella. Beautiful presentation today, says Lynette Mills. My brothers and sisters, God bless you. Go get yourself some flowers this week. I love you, says Angel Pond. Giant, loving, healing, supportive hugs, says Scott Monson. David, thank you for all your time and effort and energy, brother. This was a very good show. Ghost of Adi, says Johnny. Thank you very much. Mean-Eyed Cat says, Happy Easter, David. Thank you so much. Megred Birdsong Priestess, awesome show. Thank you, and infinite light and love. Yeah, I thought you might like to hear what's in the Book of Enoch. Again, it's catastrophic, but I don't believe that's the way it's really going down. It's interesting that that has informed so many other religious works over time, including the Bible. Teresa Dastrup, thank you, David, for all you do and share with us. We love you. Much love to everyone. Thank you, David. Bless you and give you great energy. That's right. Thank you, David. Keep raising the frequency, says Earthheart. Super awesome presentation today, David. Thank you, says Thomas Phillips. Otis Scar says, love you, David and family. C. Noble says, sweet, something loves hugs. Sending so much love, says Cheryl Harry. Sending healing and love, much love to everyone. Miles Servant, thank you, David, and thank you to the moderators. And I do hang out a little bit after the show, you know, continue in chat. You'll see me show up in the chat after the stream is over. We only get about like 3 or 4 minutes of that, and then it cuts off automatically. But we do get that little burst. So, Florida Patriot, thank you, David, for another fantastic show. Sending you much love and light. Sonia Uria, as usual, great info. Wishing everyone a great week. The promo clip that you and Chris did for Stavati was played on Ashton's show a few weeks back. Did you hear about that? I guess I just did now. That's awesome that he did that. Ontology, branch of metaphysics, studying the nature of existence is Scarlet Fire. Yes, I've introduced that word into the zeitgeist, and now a lot of people are using it. Soul Coach Suzanne, bless everyone for being here together to join these intentions. We love David you so much. It makes it so much more powerful. We are a family now. Thank you, Suzanne. Guitar Rhonda says, excellent show. Earthheart says, I believe the earth is the heart. Julie B says, you are loved by so many people, including my friends and family and me. Any more bread references from Michael? We'll get to that next time, I guess. The total number of minds in the universe is 1. Schrodinger, says Scarlet Fire. Anything on the green fireballs? I don't know about green fireballs, but anyway, we have to defeat the Dracos, says Anon 3780. Book of Enoch, love it, says Linda Kiesling. Thank you guys so much for being here. This has been really fun today. I had a lot of fun doing this show. It's been a great time. Enoch is a great topic. I read it over 40 years ago. It's past time to read it again. Thank you, says Richard Powell. It was when you two were speaking about electrogravitics, if memory serves. Well, that's good. Glad that he did that. David, great show. You should end it on the synchronicity time of 3333. That's what we're going to try to do here. And we're only about 30 seconds away from that. So I want to thank you guys for being here today. I want to thank you for the glorious love that you've shared with me. And I want to thank you for being such good friends. I do love you, each and every one of you. I hope that I can continue forward with no impedance, no interference. Let's hope that that happens. Thank you guys very much. We will see you on the next show. Thanks for being here. And scene. It's all one scene, isn't it? Bye for now. Oops. Okay, the stream